Welcome to Château Arnoux-Saint-Auban for the finale of the Sailplane Grand Prix. It's a beautiful day. Yesterday we had a very good race, really exciting. So I leave you to check out the highlights. We are at the finale of the Grand Prix and it's now the second race. Are you announcing that you are going out of the zero?
I have to. All these guys who didn't announce, they have to pay beers.
Yes.
For the second day of racing in the Sailplane Grand Prix World Final in Saint-Auban, we had a 270-kilometer task. The weather was looking very good. The potential for some overdevelopment and little rain in the northern part of the area. And all the competitors made a good start. We had a good depart from Saint-Auban with a maximum altitude of 1,800 meters on the route to Lac Saint-Croix for the first turning point. It was a straight run to the first turning point with most people choosing the same route except for Gintas, who chose to go to Mondenière, but this didn't work out too well for him. In the direction of the first turning point was just cumulus, and after the first turning point there became a split in the field, which became very important in the race, with Mario Kiesling and Werner going off to the right and more eastern track, and everybody else going to the left to take the route back over Saint-Auban towards the Leur. Werner and Mario took the low route on the ridges, climbing here on Malop, and then running low down along the ridges, always to the eastern track and always much lower. And they progressed very well until the point after Malop when they needed to stop and climb. The rest of the pilots flew on the west side of Durance Valley, and they took a good climbs, although Philippe de Pesci and one or two fell short just after the crossing to Leur. At the turning point 2, Mario and Werner were well ahead. Their route had turned out to be very good, with a good climb in Le Pot, and they were well on their way to the third turning point. Werner took a different route to the third turning point, and he went behind the Pic du Bourg on the north side. It didn't work out too well. Consequently, he was quite low going into the third turning point. And Mario came in much higher at 2,300 meters. Werner then had to take the route down to the Seurs, where he really didn't get a good climb. Mario's altitude allowed him to take the route much more direct along the northern side of the route, past the Seurs, and back towards Le Pot. By now there was some rain and some showers, and it was getting quite difficult. Back at Le Pot, then Mario found a good climb, and he started to climb, and this was going to be the last climb needed for the task. He climbed up to 2,600 meters, and we can see that most of the following gliders caught him up. Maximilian caught him up, and Sebastian did a very good part of his flight when he probably pulled back 10 kilometers from the last turning point. The final glide was almost a formality, with Mario out front, Max behind him, always maintaining about 1.5 kilometers between them, no chance of catching. Mario came home first again. He's winning his second day after an excellent race which entertained us all.
Congratulations, again, a great race.
Thank you very much.
Could you decided to go east around the mountain. How was it to work with Werner?
So we decided at the first turn point to go to the ridge. It was not working that great, I have to say, but you could flow low altitude and all the time keep the speed. And then up to Aspre, where we had big trouble to catch the thermal. I felt that, and I had it already a bit in mind, that there was a bit of northerly wind inside in that valley coming from Pic du Bourg, and so it was kind of lee and thermals, and took us some 3 or 4 minutes until we got it, and then 5 meters up, and then I was in the race again.
Whoa. That's a good job, Mario. Well done. Merci. Don't drink too much, or drink too much maybe. I don't kiss you, but le cœur y est.
I hope you enjoyed the highlight. We are back on the grid. Let's see if we can talk to some pilots. René, do you have a few minutes?
Yeah, of course.
You're out of the Zero Open Club. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's a very good feeling. It's a very nice feeling. So it gets relaxed, and I think it's a different life now. Yeah, very happy.
Okay. Enjoy your race, have fun, and we will see you at the end. So let's go to Petr. He's a Czech pilot. I did not see him so much from the beginning, so it will be really interesting to have his point of view. He is near his glider. He's coming back. Maybe we can. It's okay. He's coming. Peter? Peter, can we talk to you 2 seconds? Yes. You're a bit stressed.
A little bit, because it's a long task today and difficult at the end. Again, we cross the parkour, and it's not at the start, it's just in the middle of the day, so we will see how it will go. And I think that the parkour and Briançon Valley will be displayed in the result. Who will be good in the Briançon Valley, a good place, and on the good side of the ridge, then it win. Who not, then it can be a problem for them, and to continue also.
Okay, so for you, it's your main point. You're not a bit scared of Vinon, Flatland? You think it's fine?
It seemed that it would be fine, and it would be good condition on the plateau. I'm scared a little bit about the highest mountains, about 3,000 meters top, and about the Briançon Valley, which seems to be today will be quiet, and only ridge will working a little bit.
Okay, thank you for your analysis. We leave you to prepare. I know that
Thanks a lot.
it's always a bit tight. Enjoy your flight. We will follow you. Shall we go to Marius? Marius is just here, almost ready to go. Marius, sorry. So, hello. You again made a great show yesterday. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I need to ask you, why you never follow the other?
I like to do my decisions, and I tried following on the first day Sebastian on the final glide. It didn't work. So I decided not to ever do it again.
You don't know so well the area. Do you think it's an advantage for you?
No, I would say it's a bit of a disadvantage, but when I was preparing, I looked at it with the fresh eyes, and it works.
Yes, but you have less idea of where you need to go. You are more following the weather at one specific time.
Yes and no. I have an idea where is better to fly to, and then if during the flight it looks like it's looking equally good like the other option, I usually stick with the one that I decided before.
It's working pretty well. We will follow you.
Thank you.
Go for it. Up, turning. And I would like to go to Melanie. She's the current world champion. It's one of her first competition at that level. And let's see if she's getting ready. Careful of the winglets. Melanie? Melanie? How are you doing?
Fine.
Can we ask few questions before takeoff?
Yes.
I would like to know what it feels to fly this type of competition at that level.
For the moment, it's difficult for me because other pilots are very, very good, and I take my decisions. And I think today I will follow a little bit the other pilots to learn and to, I hope, realize a best result than yesterday and Sunday.
So yes, you expect to learn a bit more today.
Yes.
We will follow you. I'm sure it will be really nice. have a lot of fun, and we will follow the race now in a studio, real time. Enjoy the race.
Welcome to this third day of this final Serie 10 of the Grand Prix, Brian.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. We hope you're settled in to enjoy another great day of racing here in Saint-Aubin. We have good weather, we have good pilots, and we have, I hope, good information for you from the commentary team. And we hope you can enjoy the race as much today as everybody seemed to enjoy it yesterday.
Yeah, I think we will have today also our French Gilles Navas today, because yesterday was missing. But yeah, so let's talk about today. But perhaps we can talk about the virtual race, because there is a virtual race in parallel of this real Grand Prix.
Every evening at 8 o'clock in CET, European time, we have the virtual race takes place. It's very exciting. There's 20 competitors from 20 countries, and they are competing the same task that we fly during the day in the Grand Prix. And maybe we can just have a look at a little bit of yesterday's race.
So yesterday was the final glide between three pilots, one from France, Donna Pierluigi, and Ben Fest from Germany, and it was really a tie, and it was really exciting for the pilots who were following the race and the public. And there was also a third pilot really tie with from Belgium, Jeroen Jeden, who is also a real life pilot. He was in the last World Championship a few weeks ago.
And it's really exciting to see some of these guys are not really glider pilots, and they've never been here, but they seem to be able to work out quite quickly what you need to do.
Yeah, and it was also interesting to see that some real pilots, real life pilots, they have some habits which can be bad habits for virtual. So it's the same game but different. So it's really interesting to follow.
Of course, it's a computer model of the weather. So in some ways, it's more predictable, because if the model says the south slopes will work, then they normally work. But I've seen some of the guys in the virtual over push a little bit too hard, and they get a little bit too low, and then they struggle a lot.
But we had the same problem on the first day of the race of the real Grand Prix with Marius from Lithuania, who was pushing a little bit too much.
Yeah,
so
we saw that as well.
Yeah. But it's interesting also because if we go to the results, in the e-sport, so the virtual sport, Donna Pierluigi from France, he won the two first day, and in the real life, Mario Kissling from Germany. Yeah. So yeah, this is the result of yesterday's race in the virtual Grand Prix.
So French winner 2 days running?
Yes, Donna Pierluigi, he won the two first race, followed by German Ben Fest and the Belgian Jeroen Jeden.
So they're mirroring almost completely the real Grand Prix because they have the same winner for 2 days.
Yeah, this is a bit crazy for now. We will see if today is the same thing at the end of the day. But yeah. So yes, you can enjoy this e-sport if you follow also www.sgp.io. You go to the same website and there is an e-sport part, and you can enjoy at the end of the day 8 p.m. Local time this championship.
So now on to today.
Yeah.
So what have we got in store for today then, Ben?
Let's go back to the real race. But first we can talk a bit about the overall results of the Grand Prix for now, just to check who is leading and who is struggling. Thank you, Sebastian.
Mario's well ahead.
Yeah, he won 2 days.
2 day wins has put him 20 points. Nearest third place is Maximilian.
Yep, from France.
He's done really well. He's not been on the podium yet, but I think that he's touching it. He's getting close now.
He made 2 good days at the end.
Yeah, he's made 2 really good flights. And Sebastian caught up well yesterday.
Oh yeah, yesterday was like a Pac-Man.
Yeah, we'll hear a little bit more from Sebastian later on, talking about his flight.
Mm-hmm.
And Gilles, we missed Gilles yesterday, but he was there. He was there all the time with them.
Yeah, he made 3 points, I think, not so bad. But he was not so happy. We will see that.
Yeah, we had a little problem with Gilles' data yesterday, but he's got back. And Gilles' been around a long time, been gliding a long time, but he does like to be seen. He likes to be in the game, and he enjoys the Sailplane Grand Prix, partly because everybody can watch what's happening, and he can share his experience and his fun with everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
French again, Christophe in 5th place.
Yeah, a lot of French. We have 7 French, I think, in the championship, and they want to be on the top because they know the place.
Yeah, and Marius, our new boy, doing really well in 7th place.
Yeah, Catherine and Marius 6 and 7 with the same amount on point. And yes, Marius is really interesting to follow because he's a newcomer and fresh air coming with Marius. It's good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about. Let's go back to the 3D perhaps.
Yeah, and let's move on to today. And we are going to first of all talk a little bit about what happened to Sept Kawa yesterday. Maybe we can show you a little bit about what Seb said of his flight. And he was interviewed last night by Claire, and just hot from his flight. So let's go to Seb, and maybe it'll take a second or two. Whilst we're waiting for Seb to be found, we can think today about the weather and the task. It's a little bit more stable today, and it's a little bit more stable, but we'll come back to that. We'll listen to Seb first.
Hi, Sebastian.
Hi.
So, beginning of the race was difficult, but after he went pretty well. How did you manage to catch all of them one by one to finally you finish, I think, fifth?
On the beginning, really, we struggled at the Montelur. We didn't get any nice lift, and the next cloud was raining. That was the problem. We went downwind and we lost a lot of altitude, and then we had to stop in the weak thermals. That was the end of my race almost. I went very far behind everybody, and then I started to fly my own way, a little bit more on the edges of the clouds to the left. I made a few mistakes because there was a very strong thermal before the second turn point. I missed it, unfortunately. But then people decided to fly more inside in the triangle, and I went to pick the bird. There was not a very promising cloud because it was behind the mountain. But in blue we got 3.5 meters, so it was good enough, and it was the shortest way through the rain. Next part was rainy again, so I don't know how did they get there from the south, but for me it was all the way from Pic de Bureau, it was all the way rain. And I see that we have very good pilot here, Mike 7. He is really making his own decisions and flying. When everybody goes this way, he goes in another way, and he is always, almost always right until he learns out. But I wish him that he will not ever do it again.
Thanks, Seb. It was good of Seb to give us an insight into how we got on yesterday, and it's nice to see that Mario is having an effect on these really experienced pilots and showing them that new boys can do well.
Yeah, we struggled a bit yesterday on the Pic de Bureau, so it was not first part of the task, and Marius did not make 2 times the same mistake like the day one with this outlanding in the final kilometers, which means 0 points at the end. He made 6 points, I think, yesterday. It's very nice from Sebastian Kawa to tell that Marius is making a really great job. And we will talk about also about some pilots with a lot of experience, like from
Uli.
Germany, Uli Schwenk. Yeah.
So Uli has got a fantastic record in the Grand Prix. He's flown how many has he flown? He's flown 5, 6, 7 Grand Prix finals. He was second in Omarama, third in Seastrong, and fourth in Chile and in the Wasserkuppe. That's a really impressive record. Hasn't won one, but he's always been there at the top.
Yeah. He had a bad day one, but he made a good day yesterday. And let's enjoy
Introduce
Uli
Uli for you.
My name is Uli Schwenk. I come from South Germany. I fly a Ventus 3, and I hope to be in the best position ever. And the format of a World Gliding Grand Prix is to show you how fascinating this sport is.
Yeah, Uli Schwenk, always smiling. The people who follow the races in gliding and who make championship for a long time, they know Uli also because he is really representative of this group of pilots, always positive, even sometimes they made a bad day. So it's really, really interesting to have this kind of pilots in the group. And yeah, so but let's talk about the weather a bit today. I don't know if we can have a webcam from the airfield or the camera from the airfield just to show you a bit the current weather on the airfield. And I can tell you that it's a really promising day. We had a talk with Aude Untersee this morning because she's also a weather forecast woman. And yeah, you can see today on the airfield it's really nice with cumulus and should be okay. She told us that it's a bit more stable in altitude, so it should be more difficult for the thunderstorms to develop. It was a bit too much yesterday, stormy, and the north was part of the task, and this made a bit of difficulty for some pilots like Werner Hamann, who was too low after leading the pack for a long time. So
when we get big areas of overdevelopment like this, sometimes the wind is not what is predicted, and the overdevelopment can make it very difficult in areas where you would normally expect to find really good conditions.
Yeah, Mario was talking about the fact that it was even a bit of north wind there because it was so cold air coming back from the rain that it was completely different than expected.
So we're going to have a look around the task bench.
Yeah.
So we'll look down the task. We'll go from the start down the first leg, down the Durance Valley to our first turning point, which is down at Vinon Airfield.
Yeah, we will see just some video from the Durance Valley before we start, just to show you, to have an idea about the terrain. The pilots will get in this part of a task, and it is that's coming in a few seconds, and you will see that it's not really big mountains. It's much more small things and valleys.
So there's quite a wide valley here. Is there a critical place where they need to climb on this first leg?
Yeah, you can see on the image now that it's really wide valleys like this, and on the border you have exactly this kind of typical small hills. We call that small hills compared to the others. So it's only 200 meters, 300 meters above the ground, and you have to play with this kind of low terrain, because each of these low terrain can just help a bit the bubbles of warm air to make a nice thermal. So the pilots will have to play a bit with this kind of low terrain and to go to a first turn point. So let's go back to the 3 dimensions.
And it of course makes it quite a different sort of race, because everybody expects to fly in the mountains all the time, but we're going to see in this race a different style of flying on this first leg, probably staying much more together, much less options.
Yeah, because it's a bit more chaotic when you have not a real easy line to follow, so we will see. But yeah, first point will be Vinon-sur-Verdon. It's an airfield where we have a championship, international championship, a lot of time, so it's really interesting. But it's what we call the valley here and the flatland.
And we hope that we get good data from this area, but we see that the receiver that we have for our data at Vinon isn't working, and that could present us with a problem as we go to the south.
And Hal will do his best to do the magic.
We go from Vinon to
northeast.
Saint-André.
Yeah, so first we follow the plateau, the long plateau, and then you can see top of the middle of the screen the first the first hills, really, from the Alps. And but then they will have to cross some hills, and it's not so usual for the pilots who don't know the area.
And we can see the Lac de Verdun, the Sainte-Croix de Verdun on the
bottom
right
there.
Yeah. And then they cross Montdenier and into, what's this valley called they go into now, Ben?
Oh, I don't know. But we call that the little, the small parcours. You know the parcours?
Petit parcours.
Yeah, the petit parcours. So you know the parcours is a bit west, close to the lake of Sainte-Croix, but this lake of Saint-André-les-Alpes, just on the right of the turn point, is part of the little parcours. So yeah, let's have a look.
And we should know the next leg quite well.
This is really back to home, because the next point is really cles to Château Arnoux-Saint-Auban, so the takeoff.
So we have the coupe.
Yes, we will have to cross coupe, and then they will follow Digne-les-Bains, and then they will have to come back to the area of Saint-Auban.
And the turning point is at Montfort, a very beautiful village on top of the hill.
Yeah, Montfort is really nice. We will see that, I think, during the task. And then, yes, let's go for the third leg. again to the northeast. So this is more classical because it's one of the starts we do a lot of time from Saint-Auban to go to the northeast. And I think if you follow the races for the first 3 days now with the training, you know already quite a lot of the names. And especially we'll go to Le Trois Évêchés, which is just at the bottom right of the screen now.
But first they must cross the Blayou.
Yeah, there will be the Blayou.
And then they have this interesting problem of which side of the Trois Évêchés they should go.
Yeah, always the same problem. It will depend if there are some rain, and also if the ceiling of the cumulus is a bit too close to the top of the mountains. We will see that.
And the great mountain after the Trois Évêchés, if you take the northern route, you come to the beautiful name of Chapeau de Gendarme.
If you go to the right, yes.
Sorry, if you go to the east side,
Yeah, and if you go to the north, so you will go closer to Grand Bérard. And so we will see what the pilots want to do.
And from there, you can go either to the south side of Barcelonnette Valley and take a route around to the turning point, or you cross directly the valley and then turn right and fly along the northern side on the south-facing slope to the turning point.
Yeah, this is the fly along. This is the really important sentence about what you are talking about. It's you have to fly along some, but you need to take a decision, right or left.
Yeah. So there's a good chance that we don't really see much split amongst the competitors until they come to Blayou and Trois Évêchés. And then we might see two different ideas of how they should make the race.
Yeah, this is one of the key points. And we will see if already some pilots are struggling to be high enough to be able to make this choice.
Yeah.
Always the same problem.
What happens here will have a very big influence on the outcome of this race.
So yeah, let's go to the fourth leg, and we will follow the Ubaye Valley, and we go to the west, and I think we will visit again what we call Pic de Bure and Briançon. But
well, before that we have Morgan.
Yes.
And then we have to cross over again the lac.
Yeah. This
is the lac or the reservoir. It's an artificial lake. It's enormous, made for generating electricity with a big hydroelectric station at the end. It didn't used to be there many years ago, but I don't think any of us can remember those days.
Yeah, there's a small village who was at the bottom of the valley, so it's not anymore. But yes, it's really useful here to have this barrage with a big reservoir because the rain is difficult to handle here.
And on to the center of this lake now, when they've crossed the lake, what happens now, Benj? Will they get a climb on this first mountain, do you think?
We saw the day before that there was different routes possible, and you can follow the lake and be really straight, and then you will have what we call the electric mountain. It's a small one.
Why do they call it the electric mountain?
You have some electric wires at the top, so it's really useful for the pilots to name it this way.
So you can easily recognize it.
Yeah, it's really easy, but it's low, and always you want to be the highest possible at this area. So it's if there is no thermal activity on this low part of the valley with the small hills with electric things, this could be a bit difficult. But then you can perhaps go to the right, to the north, and you can see that on the right side of the screen you have some quite high mountains which are called Chabrières, before crossing this long pass of Col Bayard with Gap City and going to the Pic de Bure, which is really close to the turn points at the top of the screen.
So when we cross over the city of Gap before we get there.
Yeah.
And maybe we will see the city when we cross by. We have some visual of that. And when we saw the task yesterday, the Pic de Bure was not really good, and it hasn't been really good on the day previously. So it could be they go more to the south, to the... Which one's this? The Sayers, and climb on this one, the Cuvette, to the south, and then take the route into Pic de Bure.
Yeah, it will depends also. When we had a talk with Aude this morning, you have some cumulated rain on the day before, and it's difficult to predict where will be too much moisture, because it's also depending where the rain was on the day before and during the night. But yes, it's problematic. Yesterday, Sebastian Kawa was talking about some rain on Pic de Bure and some rain on Gap City to make the turn points. So perhaps it will be also influential on today's race, but we will see that. Yeah, so Seus is on the left of the screen, Very nice, really rounded things, and they used it a lot yesterday with a very nice spot for Mario during the leg going to gap. And perhaps we would have to use it if on the right side of the screen, so Pic de Bure, it's a bit too moist.
So looking at the picture now, it looks like it should be easy. It looks like we should fly straight to the mountain, climb, go to the turning point. But we know that this area could be completely covered in cloud.
Yeah.
And we also know there's a risk of it raining in this area. So it's actually a very tricky point to this. It's not as easy as it looks from the image that we see now.
Yeah, and Pic de Bure is also problematic, and we will see some real footage now of Pic de Bure in a few seconds, because Pic de Bure is just at the threshold between two air masses and two big valleys. You can be on the Durance Valley and Bueche Valley, so the south part of Pic de Bure, with some air mass going from south to north, so with a south wind, which is good for the slopes, and the pilots, they can use it. But also you can have some cold air because of the rain coming from the north, from Grenoble and from the Col Bayard and Col Bayard. And this makes also perhaps the wind completely different than expected for the pilots. And Mario was talking yesterday about Aspres-sur-Bueche, and he told us that it was just the limit with the north wind coming because it was so cold with the rain. So it can be really tricky.
And the cloud base can be very variable. You can climb with the cloud clear of the mountain on the south side to look down on the cloud when you leave, in the valley to the west and to the north.
Just because the air mass are different, yeah.
And it's almost the dividing line between South and North Alps. We can see in the distance there the valley disappearing to Grenoble and dropping away. It's a beautiful view from here, and beautiful view of the mountains.
So let's turn the turn point of Lacluse. It's the same turn point as day one, race one, with Mario, who was turning quite low there, and then a few kilometers south he saw some vultures thermaling, and he got a super nice thermal, and it was the end of the day for him in a good way. And yeah, you can see that if the pilots are really high, like yesterday here, the game is finished. We have to do the best to come back home, but it will be easy. But if it's not, they will have to use all the small mountains you can see a bit further to the south, like Céuse, and then a bit on the right you have Crête de Sel and then Saint-Genis. But we will see that in flight. Then the next step is we are back in Sisteron Valley, and we are around 35 kilometers to the finish line. So let's go to Sisteron Valley and Sisteron City, yes, and follow the last leg before the control point, just north of the airfield for the finish line.
And are we going to take the view of the finish, or we'll save that for later on when we are on the final glide?
Yeah, we will see some places along the task today, and perhaps, I don't know if we can have some live from the action in the air for now, because we have some cameras in flight. Yes, okay. So just to have some information, we are east of Saint-Auban with some pilots already, I would say, close to the second turn points on the eastern part of the first part of the task. And it seems to be really nice.
Yeah, much flatter cumulus today, much less overdevelopment, much drier at altitude, which means less risk of overdevelopment and showers.
And the clearance, so the altitude above the hills, seems to be quite okay with something like 500, 600 meters above the hills, which means more choices possible for pilots.
And we're on board with Philippe Depêche here, who's waiting.
It's the probe. We have a probe. We have a spy in the air.
Okay. We're on board with our espion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's really gives you a real feel for what it's like here. Beautiful, beautiful mountains, lovely villages, and lots of interesting features in the valleys.
Les Alpes city here.
And it changes very little throughout the year. The scenery is fairly consistent throughout the year. It's a little more green in the springtime, goes a little browner in the September time when it's the end of the summer. But they get plenty of rainfall on the mountains, but not so much in the lower ground.
Yeah. So we can tell the pilots, all the competitors, that it's really nice in the Cousson. They will understand.
Yeah. So maybe we should start to think about where everybody is for the start now.
Yeah. Let's go back for a 3D with all the pilots, and we can talk about the rules again. But you have to be 1 minute before the start line, behind the start line. Yeah.
We try when the director, when Régis makes the task in the morning. We discuss it and we try to make it so the start is on the route they take to the first turning point. So everybody can wait behind the start, and then we have no conflict with people having to come back to start, passing people going in the other direction.
So this is for safety reasons?
For safety reasons, and today it's working perfectly. Whereabouts are they all waiting now, Benj? What would we call this area?
We are close to Perouy city. There is a nice mount there, and it's quite small mountains, but it helps a lot to make the thermals in the local area of Saint-Auban. And they are also a bit to the group on the right is a bit more towards Fort Calquier. And but yes, a lot of thermals normally when it's sunny days here, so no problem to make a good altitude. The limit altitude today will be
1,800 meters.
Okay.
QNH, it's above sea level, and we can see everybody has a good altitude. So we will be expecting in the next few seconds they'll start to line up, and they start their run in usually round about 40 seconds or something before they're all straight. So if we look down directly overhead, we should see the run into the turn.
Okay, 1 minute to a start.
55, so we can go directly overhead, the start point.
So pilots will...
And see what everybody's doing.
120. Oh, René Vidal is already early to the start line.
Where's René going?
Oh, this will be difficult. Okay, he's going out.
He's turned to left. Now he has a problem because he can only turn left.
Yeah, and he will perhaps have to be behind the main part of the pack to not make any problem for the safety. So he'll have to be cautious.
Yeah, and René is a very experienced Sailplane Grand Prix pilot. He should know that it is not the best tactic to have to turn in front. And today we can see everybody is taking the same part of the line.
Bravo, Kilo. Catherine Zener on the left part of the screen, who should be the first to cross the start line in 7 seconds. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it's open. So now they can cross the line with no penalties. And they seems to be at quite a nice altitude. Sometimes we have a shift of altitude, so don't focus too much on the numbers on the right part of the screen for now.
It seems that Catherine thought she might be a little early, so she went off to the left, and now she's going to have to fly straight.
Quite smooth start for now.
Yeah, it's quite civilized.
Yeah.
It's quite civilized, and we will, when I say civilized, I mean that we didn't have any conflicts. Everybody was pretty much the same. It looks like we probably set our start height too low or something because they all appear to be above, but I'm sure that's not the case.
We will check that.
And now it's just a promenade to find the first thermal.
Yeah.
And do you think we're going to have to go straight down low, Benj, or are they going to run along these hills and stay high to start with?
Yeah, we will see in a few seconds a nice view. And yes, we are with Sebastian preparing the view. And you can see the turn point is on the top of the screen in the middle. And before the turn points, you can see also some mountains, hills, really greenish. And it's the area of Manosque. And this area is perhaps where the thermals have some kick to make the best of them. And if you stay in the valley, it will be not so nice. And I think we will have a nice view of Manosque in a few seconds.
When they arrive in these hills to the west of Manosque, it won't be as good as where they were climbing before the start.
Yeah, because we are further and further from the big mountains.
Yeah. So we don't expect to see them gaining the same altitudes.
No, it will be different. But let's have a view on Manosque. You can see more in reality what it looks like. So it's small hills like you can see on the middle of the screen. It's not big things. And so Manosque is a really nice city. The people who have the chance to live there can be really happy about the lifetime and the lifestyle here. But yeah, back to the 3D and we will see in a few seconds if there is only one solution because Manosque is Manosque and you have to go to the hills of Manosque, or if you have more solutions and choices for the pilots.
Maybe we can come up right behind Bravo Kilo or 2 Lima and we can see what sort of view they have ahead. Everybody staying together. Nobody wants to go a different way. That's good.
So with Catherine Zenner from Germany.
There's Mario going ballistic. He's hit something strong. It's slightly exaggerated by the ribbon, of course, and the fact that we're using GPS data for the altitude. But they're going along very nicely. And this will be quite comfortable until they come to the very first thermal when everybody will want to climb. And they will all have to find a way to organize themselves into the thermal, turning the same direction, trying to stay in the central part of the thermal without any conflict one from another. We can look at the distance to run to the first turn. Catherine has got, we can't quite see there the distance to run to the turn, but maybe we can put it up and we can give you some idea. There's 20 kilometers to go.
It's not a long ride to go to a first turn point, but still they are just at 1,700 meters, which is okay because it's really flatland and really low terrain here. But still, they have to think about to be the highest possible at some key points of this first leg, and also during the second leg to have an easy life to reach the first slopes. So it will be really interesting.
And there should be some small cumulus. There should be some small cumulus on these hills.
We will have a view in a few seconds from the webcam from Vinon-sur-Verdon, the airfield,
perfect.
Showing to the to the north.
Yeah, so they have cumulus to mark the thermals.
Very nice day, very nice day. But still, you have to find the best one and to be the highest in this area.
And Vinon looking like a gliding club anywhere in the world.
Yes, with big hangars for glider pilots.
Old hangars and
And we say hi to the pilots flying in Vinon and all the organizers and volunteers in the Vinon Air Club. It's really nice to fly there.
And if you're watching this living up in the north of Europe, you just enjoy the view of the really nice, dry, warm summer weather we still have down here in Saint-Aubin in September. Well, nobody's climbed yet. We look at the altitude again, 20 kilometers to go.
They keep the altitude. You can see Catherine Zenner on the bottom left of the screen. You have the altitude information, 1,700. So just 100 meters disappeared to make already 10 kilometers. So it seems that it's a good ride, easy ride.
Bumping along quite nicely. Marius is doing his own thing again. He's
interesting.
Taking a turn here. And so is Gintas is turning. And Sebastian, they've decided to turn, but Whiskey Golf has gone on. Werner has gone on, along with Philippe Depêché and Mario. They're pushing onto the hills.
So something happens.
Yeah, well, I think they've been flying in thermals, but they're just looking for the good one.
We'll check if Sebastian Kawa, if we have some data. We have Max 7, so Marius. And it's
2 meters, it's pretty good.
Yeah, so Vario, you can see on the bottom left of the screen, you have a lot of information from Marius. And first is altitude, so keep it the highest possible. Then the ground speed is not really interesting when they are thermaling like this, circling, so don't bother with this. But then the third information, Vario 2.9, 3.0, 3.2, 3.3 now, this is what they want the highest possible. Never minus, for sure, but when they are thermaling, they want to have the best number for this, because this means I will not lose a lot of time to gain altitude.
There's a very big possibility that as they approach Vinon, the thermals will be not quite so strong and they won't be quite so high. So the maximum altitude in 3 meters would be good, and then they maybe don't have to climb again until they're back onto the hills going to the northeast out of Vinon.
So 2 parts now of the packs, I would say a chasing pack with pilots who made a stop in this thermal to get 200, 300 meters more than the others. And the leading pack with pilots who did not stop, and they head now to the Collines de Manosque, so the hills of Manosque, and they want to find a better thermal than this 2.23 meters. We will see in a few seconds if it was a wise decision.
Looking at the image we have now, we can see that to go any further to the southwest or west of south is going to increase the distance to the turning point. So there's only a little bit more of the hilly region up to Manosque to climb, And then they want to be max altitude to go to the turn and onto the hills to the northeast. They don't want to have to keep going to the southwest and increase the distance.
Yeah, Whiskey Golf, Werner Hamann, who stops now also to thermal, and Sebastian Kawa is reaching him. And
India is going on.
Going along.
Has gone on. He's 1,600 meters. He's had 2 days when he's been flying a little bit lower than most people, and flying, one would say, maybe a bit more aggressively. But it's worked quite well for him. We'll have to see if it works well for him now.
So the hills of Manosque are here, and you can see that the group of Mario is already heading directly to a turn point. There would be a long way to do this, but it's perhaps not worth it for the pilots. They think it's not worth it because you could see that on the webcam it was quite nice sky with some cumulus. So now they cross direct this way to make it shorter. But there is also a pack now thermaling here. So we will have really a split, and which will be really interesting how it's going on for these two groups in a few minutes.
It's maybe a little split, but one can be fairly sure that the climbing group will catch up with the other group when they stop to climb. So we can go and have a look at the thermal maybe of this pack here and see what's happening in
Marius
the
is inside, so Marius bottom left of the sky of the screen.
Mario's gone. Yeah, Mario's gone on.
1,900, and Mario Kisling is leading the pack, who is heading direct to a turn point with 300 meters less.
But we're losing the data for Mario.
Yeah, we will go back to the main thermaling pack.
It's such a shame that we don't have the receiver at gap functioning, because we expected it would be really good data here and we would be able to tell the whole story. Vinon, so sorry, the receiver in Vinon, yeah.
I go to the start.
So in this pack, Sebastian Kawa from Poland, number 1, and Whiskey Golf Werner Hamann from Austria, but also Louis Boudalic, Tango Lima from France, Christophe Abadi, 2 Lima from France, Golf Tango, Thomas Gosner from Italy, Alfa Romeo Gintas Sube from Lithuania. So this will be the main chasing group, and we will see who is the pilots, who is the highest out of this group to go to the first turn point of Vinon-sur-Verdon.
Tango Lima is not so high, but he's happy to go on. Thilo's climbed up really quite high, but he's just a little bit behind.
Sebastian Kawa is leaving also, 2,100 meters, but still making perhaps a bit of a detour to the right of the screen, so to the west.
They're going more to the right, aren't they? They're taking a more western route, Whiskey Golf and Sebastian.
Following the hills.
Yeah, following the hills all the way, and they're taking a longer route. Well, we shall see what happens. It's interesting that you can have the two choices here. We should be able to keep enough data just to be able to monitor the progress for Mario, but not to have really good image. When they come out of Vinon, maybe we shall pick them up again as they come back in range of another receiver.
So we have Bostian Pristavec and Sebastian Kawa, 2,000 meters, and heading to a first turn point, following Tango Lima, Louis Boudalic.
And they didn't keep going southwest for Long Bench, they've turned en route, so everybody's back on the same line.
Yeah, they are now above Manosque, which is the southwest part of these hills, and heading to a first turn point, yeah.
And there's not such a big difference in altitude, but Philippe and Catherine, we can see, are only 1,300 meters. And the guys who've left this last thermal, Uli and Thilo, are 2,000 meters. So that's actually quite a big difference in the flatlands. If the next climb that they find is only 1.5 meters or something, there'll be quite an advantage from the gained from the guys who climbed really high.
Just to have an idea, the first leading pack is now really close to the turn point. It's a bit shaded, I'm sorry, but we are missing some data there. But they are now really closing to its first turn point. And yes, Mario is 1,400 meters, leading in this pack, I think. And the followers are not so far away, but still the difference is already like 5 or 6 kilometers. And they have to make the difference. And we will see if this stop on the hills just north of Manosque make the difference to give her more altitude and more energy to get the best of this area of the task.
Philip's pushed on quite well ahead. Does he know the area of Vinon very well? Will he have some insight into a bit of local knowledge about how to deal with this when he comes out lower?
Yeah, in this, Philippe first is, he's really used of this area, and he made even a few weeks just before the championship here. So he knows how it works, but it can be a plus and a minus always here, because you think that it will be as usual. And then the perception with the eyes of the cumulus you can see there and spot there, perhaps you can be a bit too optimistic. Yesterday it was difficult for him because he made a small mistake on the leg coming back to the airfield. But yeah, we just get data. It's just 1,100, which is quite high in this flat area again. But it's just limit a bit, perhaps, the solutions you have after the turn points.
But he might have a really good insight onto where to go to find the next good climb, and which of the hills are going to work, what the local wind will be, where the bowls or the valleys are. And he's probably already decided that this strategy is going to take him into at least a decent climb, a reasonable climb, to put him back into the high ground.
Yeah, we are just on the threshold of the beginning of the plateau, which is just this area on the northwest of the turn point of Vinon.
Yeah.
And on this area, the small hills here, and the foot of the hills of the plateau, normally you have a good thermal. But I think that they are thermaling already here, because you can see a pack here, and they get a thermal just on the turn points.
And he will be with Mario and Catherine.
But we will see how much altitude here on the bottom of the screen. You have to check this and to compare to the pack chasing coming from here.
Yeah.
We will see that.
Yeah. And also we have Sebastian. He's pushing out a little bit more today than he has done on the previous days. I think he realizes, or I'm sure he knows, that he's got to stay really in touch today. He's got to start winning a day in order to get his points back up.
Yeah,
he can't
Philippe is not
afford
happy.
to stay behind.
Philippe is not happy. He's already leaving, and I think the pilots who took a bit of time on the hills of Manosque made perhaps a good decision to get a bit more altitude here. But we'll see.
This
fast.
escarpment, this edge of the valley,
Yeah.
will it work with the valley breeze? Will he be able to fly in energy lines along it?
I would not say it works, but it helps.
Yeah.
It helps to make the bubbles free and be able to rise in the air. So always, any small hills will help.
So it should be a trigger for some decent thermals along here. And of course, we look at the webcam again in a moment, and we'll see if there's cumulus coming out of Vinon, going to the north. And that will give us a good clue as to what conditions they're flying into. See, Sebastian's 1,600, he's still going to be, if he doesn't climb, he's going to be 1,200 meters when he gets to Philippe, so there isn't such a big difference.
Yeah, so let's see, again, no big change compared to a few minutes ago, but still quite optimistic sky. But again, you have to be careful, because sometimes if you are really low, it's difficult to not miss the bubble.
These clouds are quite high, maybe 2,300 meters.
Something like this, yeah.
So you're a long way below the clouds, and we can see that some of them are quite fractured, and not all of these clouds will be good. And it's a sort of situation where you could push on to a cloud and be very disappointed. And you need to have the option to go to the next one.
The pilots were coming from the part of the center of the screen. So this is Manosque, and a bit on the left. And the right is where we go for the second leg now. So yeah, Sebastian is also climbing the same area where Philippe was climbing before. So they get something here. And Philippe de Péchy is climbing again now. Yeah. He went to the foot of the plateau. And this is quite typical area.
And it looks like his climb's quite good. If it maintains 2.5 meters, it will have been a really good thing to do, because he is already climbing stronger than they climbed on the mountain before they went for the turning point.
Yep. So we can have perhaps an idea about the second leg in few seconds. You will see a real view in flight about one part, typical part of a second leg, which is really close to the lake of Sainte-Croix and the Gorge du Verdon. This is Gorge du Verdon. So this is what the pilots will get in a few minutes. You can see it's completely different terrain with already quite big hills or small mountains, but not big rocks. They are still green with a lot of vegetation. But the cumulus are completely different than what you saw in the webcam of Vinon. It's different.
Much better formed cumulus, much better defined, and stronger conditions. So it's a question of being able to make a good progress, not slow down too much, not get caught, and to get back into this good weather.
Yeah, and you can see
when they arrive
just
near the Lac Saint-Croix.
Lac de Saint-Croix, yeah. And it was interesting because just at the end when it froze, this view, it was on the right part of the screen, it was really much more blue. You can see the difference. Okay, this is just the threshold of the first part with big cumulus, and then it's much more blue on the plateau going to Vinon, where the pilots are for now. So it will be different life and different kick and different gear. You have to change the gear at one time.
And you can feel quite happy because once you've found the climb, you know you're heading into better conditions. You know that what you're going to is better than where you are, and it'll enable you to go faster, and it'll be easier.
But you don't have to rush because again, if you arrive too low, you can struggle to get a good lift compared to the guys who are 200, 300 meters above. So it can be tricky.
It's the old story. You're not going to win the race at this part, but you could easily lose it.
Yeah, and the day of yesterday was a bit like this because after the first leg and coming back in the vicinity of Saint-Auban, Philippe de Péchy had big problems. Mélanie Gadoulet had big problems. Sylvain Gerbeau struggled a lot. Catherine Zenne was also in a big struggle. Just because they were a bit lower compared to the others, and it makes a big difference. Just 100 meters was really difficult, and then the drop completely compared to the others. So it can be really, really tricky. But let's go back to the race. We have good data back now.
See where everybody is. Maybe we just zoom out for a second and catch up with everybody, and see if everybody is around the turning point or.
Okay, so this was Vinon-sur-Verdon, first turn point on the right of the screen, and they go now to the top left of the screen, to the northeast, towards the Lake of Sainte-Croix, where our spy was in the air. Great view of the plateau.
But I don't count 20 gliders here. Is everybody around the turning point? I think so. I think they're all round and they're running.
I think so, yeah. Just perhaps Lima Bravo is a bit at the bottom for now, close to the turn points, but we are missing some data. So just will be interesting to compare the altitude. I think Philippe de Péchy is now again quite high, above 2,000 meters, and Sebastian Kawa is just 100 meters below. So the pack is again together, just 100 meters difference. And it was not a bad idea to keep going like Philippe.
No, let's have a look right on the top of this pack and see when they leave. Thilo's looking for something a little bit different off to the east. And Philippe's on the way. Philippe's pushing off again. And he's leading the field today. He knows the area really well. He's a very positive pilot. He won't be wanting to fly with the others necessarily. He'll be wanting to go on his own.
So Thilo is on the right part of the screen, 1,900 meters. He's close to Gréoux-les-Bains, a very nice city you have to visit if you go in this area. And Philippe de Péchy is top left of the screen, leading. I would say he's a leader for now, and he's 2,000 meters, so 100 meters more than Thilo. And all the pack now is following Philippe de Péchy to go toward the lake of Sainte-Croix and the next turn point a bit further to the northeast.
And 2,000 meters here, Ben. Have we got enough to make Mont-Denier and the mountains in one go, or will they need to stop and climb again on the way there?
Yeah, the terrain you can see in front of you is the plateau of Valensole.
Plateau of Valensole, very beautiful place.
Yeah, it is.
With lots of beautiful, beautiful fields of lavender.
Yeah, exactly, and you can land a lot.
One of my first experiences down here was to go to Puy-Masson and enjoy the fantastic plateau of Valensole.
You will see a real image from Valensole in a few seconds, and it's really nice. And it is a lot of lavender crops, and also a lot of really easy landing fields for glider pilots. So when you are low on this plateau, you have no stress at all, because you just have to be 200 meters above, let's put the gear down and have a nice landing and take a coffee with farmers. It's really nice area for the pilots.
But where they're heading, in a few kilometers, it starts to change again. It starts to come back into hilly terrain as they come up to Mustia.
You can see on the screen it's a bit scarce. Escarpment, yeah. Or like a reef.
The valleys, you mean?
The small valleys, yeah.
They are. I'm not sure what we have a word for that in English.
Anyway, it's a bit more hilly and it's a bit more difficult. But just in front of the pilots for now, it's really easy to land on the northwest part of this plateau of Valençol. But yes, after 20 kilometers, it will be completely different. But 2,000 meters here, you have to think the plateau is 750, 800 meters above mean sea level, and there are 2,000, 2,100 meters. So they have already enough energy to reach the foot of La Serre de Mondenier, we will see in a few minutes. But still, they don't want to reach this at 1,300. They want to be a bit higher.
And Mario and Oscar are together. And Oscar, Sebastian in Oscar Sierra. And Philippe's gone on. Philippe's decided to go on. But you can tell by the way that the path they're taking is weaving a little, that they're just diverting a little between the cumulus and using the energy they can find. They're maintaining altitude really well. They've lost almost nothing since the last thermal. So they've got good energy line. It's working really well. They're feeling confident. Now it's just a question of tactics. Do we stay together? Do we just run together? Shall I take a little bit of a relaxing time here and just hang back? Or shall I push on and try to get first to the mountains?
So Philippe Depechy leading a bit lower for sure because he doesn't stop for a while. He's 1,700. And Gilles Navas is just behind 1,800, so 100 meters above Philippe and perhaps 1 or 2 kilometers behind. So it's a tie. And then there is Alfa Romeo, Ginta Zube, not far away on the left part of the screen with Thomas Gostner. So for now, there is no big difference. India, Mario is also there, 1,800 altogether. And they have a goal, which is top right of the screen, to go to Saint-André-les-Alpes. But before that, they have to climb on the first part of the southwest part of parcours.
Yeah. And we can see Mondenier is well off to the east of the track. So maybe they won't go to Mondenier. Maybe they will take just the western end of it to just take this western end here when they're coming in. And
I think the northwest part of Mondenier, which is not the highest part of Mondenier, will be really close to the track. Mm-hmm. So we will be able to first go to the small hills at the foot of Mondenier, and then when they think they have enough, they will go to the top of Mondenier and get the highest they can to cross to the east, because then it's more difficult if you are low. So they will have to wait and to take some time at one point in this area in 10 kilometers to grab some energy in altitude. So let's follow them together here.
And Catherine and René are dropping off a little. They're sort of falling out at the bottom of this. René was just climbing again. He was only 1,300 meters. Not a good place to get to fall behind. You don't necessarily want to go shooting ahead, but it's not a good place to fall behind. Oh, René's just suddenly come back into view. He's suddenly climbed up to 1,800 meters. Must have been a data issue there.
So it's a bit messy because they are still all together. You can see that. 1,900 meters, 2,000 meters for the highest. And Sebastian Kawa is 2,100 meters and something. So he's coming above everybody because he made a better job in the glide. And still we can see that the pilots are not really happy with the thermals they get, because a lot of them are already leaving the thermals.
They didn't seem to be so strong. Philippe just climbed a little in 1.6, but he knows that he really needs to be at this sort of altitude when he reaches Mondenier. He doesn't really want to be below, 1,500 meters.
Yeah, you can be a bit below if really you have some nice cumulus before, and then the risk is really minimal. But again, it can be, from the start of this championship, it can be just in 50 meters. If you are below this altitude of critical altitude, it will be a lot of time you lose just to be high enough above the top of the slope to get nicely and easily the thermals. And don't forget that also one of the points is they will arrive all together on the slope, and this can be also tricky to get enough space for everybody to get the first good thermal.
It can be a very tense moment when you're all arriving together. So buffering a little bit more. Okay.
So we'll use a bit of a technical trick. I'm sorry, you will see some weird things coming on the screen. We are going back a bit just because we are missing some data and we want to buffer them a bit more.
Yeah. And so the good scene now, we have Echo Juliet pushing on ahead with Philippe Depechet. He's still 1,700 meters. He's going well. It's not a problem for him. He doesn't need to keep looking for a climb. But I'm sure that he would like to go back up to 1,900, 2,000 meters here so that he can make that high ground and make. It's no advantage to make the high ground just a few kilometers before the mountain and be lower. You need to be on the mountain, on the top, and you can't go halfway there. It's not like being half pregnant. Yeah? It just doesn't work. So he's got to arrive where the lift is in order to gain the advantage. Otherwise, he's going to lose a lot of time trying to come back up to the top of the mountain.
And we will see in a few seconds in real the area they are in the head for now, which is Moustier. So you will see the hills and the slopes. We are talking about which are the first slopes they will reach. So this is Moustier-Sainte-Marie with the Verdon River. And you can see the hills with some rocks on the screen. So normally after midday, a lot of sun is here, and it makes the rocks really warm, and this makes the bubbles with thermals going really well on these hills. So this will be the footer of the hills we will use today.
There's a lot of very cautious flying going on now. Nobody really wants. So Philippe is the only person who seems to be consistently happy to push ahead. When the others are circling together, it's different people each time leaving the top. They're hanging back a little bit. There's a lot of tactics here to try to be sure to get that first good climb on the mountains. And the race will start again. And then it'll start again when they get to Montfort. So we have 3 start points maybe today.
The big question the pilots have in the brain now is also, okay, do I make a bit of time here on the flatland area with good thermals, or do I take a bit of risk to go direct to the hills to get a better thermal? It's a bit risky because if you miss it, you have a big barrier, big wall in front of you, and you can't keep going to the east. So do I need to invest time here? And what are doing the others? Do they want also to lose a bit of time here to be secure and safe to go to the hills? Or if somebody like Mario now, India, is leaving and going straight to the hills and get a good thermals, then it's a win.
Yeah. But I think that everybody is happy to just move along together. Nobody really wants to make a break for it here. You can see that Sebastian is taking most thermals to stay high. He's going quite slowly. He's flying really very conservatively at altitude. Mario is pushed on. You can see Philip ahead. And I don't think that anybody's in a great hurry. They all want to arrive high to continue the race. Whilst they're together, the race is still anybody's. And push forward, make a mistake, and you could be out of the race.
So again, thermaling India, Mario Kisling with Kilo Whiskey, Gilles Navas, Oscar Sierra, so Sebastian Kawa is just above. Perhaps he will turn also. Yes, he's making this turn, circling, and he's making like a Hawax Vulture. He's super high, 2,200 meters.
Yeah, Sebastian's probably decided that this is not a point to push on and get low. But as we discussed before, they should steadily come higher. As they come back in the hills, the cumulus base will come up. And when they get to Mondenier, we'll probably see 2,300, 2,400 again.
Yes,
and maybe much more, maybe 2,700, 800 when they get to Toisevech. Benj, the valley off to the left there, the escarpment, this runs up to Dean.
Yes, in a way, yes.
How deep is that valley? How big is the escarpment?
Oh, again, it's like the plateau just close to the airfield here, so it's around 200, 300 meters. So it's usable if you are really low and you have a bit of wind. You can use them, but you don't want to be so low because then you don't have any option, any choice, and this is always difficult for the pilots. So it's better to be higher, but it works, yes.
It's substantial. It's what we would call, a lot of people in the north of Europe would call that quite a good ridge. And they'd be very happy to have a hill that big.
Yeah, everybody would want to have this kind of escarpment close to the airfield because yes, it helps. And I'm sorry, in flatlands you don't have this. But yeah, sometimes we are a bit. It's a luxury here we have.
And I must apologise for the antics of René. It's not really René, and it's not Mike's glider. There seems to be something strange happening with his data. Our wizard here will have a look and see if he can smooth it out. But it does make it difficult to follow him when it's going. So when it's making such erratic movements as this.
Oh, a split. A split is coming now.
Yeah.
Really interesting with India going to the left of the screen, and so Mario Kisling, the leader of the championship for now, and Oscar Sierra on the right of the screen, Sebastian Kawa with second on the overall score, going much more straight to the hills on the top right of the screen. Sorry.
So we have some image. I'm not sure how old it is, but it might show
it's
us.
Live.
Yeah, this is live image of the area around Mondenier.
Exactly. Yeah, we are just east of Mondenier.
It's not so good at the moment, but maybe it'll come back. But we can see they have nice clouds to come into, and this is live, and this is what they're heading for.
Yeah, they are just.
We'll
east.
come back to that maybe when we get a clearer image and we can see more clearly what's happening.
So now we have two groups, even if India on the left is alone. So Mario Kisling from Germany, leader of the championship, is 2,100 meters. And on the right part of the screen is Oscar Sierra, Sebastian Kawa, 2,300 meters, so 200 meters, 300 meters more, and leading the main pack. And then on the right part of the screen, you have another pack with 3 gliders, Tulima, Christophe Abadi,
and Thilo. I'm not sure who the one. It's Mike 7. It's Marius going his own way again. They will come back. I'm pretty
but
sure.
They are lower.
I'm pretty sure that they were following different parts of the cumulus, and they will all come back to where they're heading for that corner of the mountain. This is where they expect to for the race to change gear as they come back into the mountain and the better conditions. They're actually going quite quickly. They're still flying along quite fast, 170, 180 kilometers an hour. It may look like they're going slowly, but they're making really good progress.
So Sept de Mondenier is the hills you can see there, a bit green, and normally you have a pretty nice thermal on the top of Sept de Mondenier, but also you can see that there is a second level footer of Sept de Mondenier. And perhaps this is usable when you come too low. But for sure, the pilots, they want to reach just the altitude of the top of Sept de Mondenier before going to the east, because then it's much more difficult if you are low in this area. So they will have to gather more energy somewhere in this area before going to the next turn point. So we have a split. India now is back with Sebastian Kawa, but I think he's lower. He's just short of 2,000 meters, and Sebastian is just above 2,100 meters. So just 100 meters difference, but still Mario is leading the pack. So could be like a tie for now. No big difference coming.
Oscar's got well up there, but he's a bit behind. But I'm sure that Sebastian will feel in his natural environment now. He's in front and he's high.
I think he's really happy.
Yeah, he'll be happy now.
Because yesterday he was not leading at all. It was really difficult all along for the start for him. And then he made this Pac-Man thing he knows how to make at the end of the day. But it was too late for him. He told us it should have been 100 kilometers more to do. And then perhaps he would have been in the leading pack. But it was difficult. And today he's in a good shape. We can see that.
But the race always finishes at the finish line. It's your position when you get there. But certainly he did a very interesting part of the flight yesterday when he went from 20 kilometers behind to 10 kilometers behind in one leg in no time at all. And he just found the right route for a time. And mind you, he probably had a little advantage at seeing the people ahead and seeing what had happened to them, which helped him to choose the right route. It's interesting that when you get into the mountains and it's a little bit overdeveloped, sometimes being really high isn't an advantage because you can't really see the conditions ahead. And it's not until you've got 100 meters below the cloud base that you can really see what you should have done. And it might be too late then to turn off. That's not the situation now. The situation now is that they can see quite clearly where they need to go, and everybody's got the same idea. But we're seeing classic Sailplane Grand Prix racing where people are going to stay together, they stay caged. It's a long way to go yet. I don't know how far we got to go to the turning point, Seb. It's maybe 15 kilometers or 20 kilometers.
Something like this, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's enjoy perhaps a view of Lac de Sainte-Croix, which is just top of a screen. We will have a real image now. So this is the lake of northwest part of Lac de Sainte-Croix with Gorge du Verdon just at the top of a screen. Really, really nice. It's again a reservoir. It used to be a valley, but for water reservoir reason, they had to make a dam and to gather more water. And it's one of the best places if you want to make some
touristic thing. It's incredibly blue.
It is
unbelievably blue, and it's all to do with the water that comes down the river from the mountains.
Yeah, because you have some mudstones inside the water, which makes this clear, super blue, and really nice to see.
And the first time you see it, you think it must have been painted by one of these great Renaissance artists, because you never see a lake like that. But it's a fantastic place to visit, the Gorge du Verdon, even if you only want to go canoeing.
Yes.
But for touristic, it's great.
It's really nice.
And rock climbing is a good place also.
Okay, Mr. India, Super Mario is reaching now the Serre de Mondenier. And the pack is with Sebastian on the right part of the screen. They are tumbling again.
Yeah, and India is not so much lower. He's not really lost much there by going, but he's going straight. He's going for the jugular, as we would say. He's going straight for the hot spot.
But you can see that the pack was going to the footer.
Yeah.
Because there was no footer on the left part of Serre de Mondenier. And the main pack went first to the footer, because perhaps there was cumulus there, before going perhaps to Serre de Mondenier.
To the foothills, so the first ridge before it. Tango Lima's decided that maybe he should have Louis is going to have a turn there. And now we have the big mess where everybody has to decide how they're going to turn. We have people turning left, people turning right.
Will be sorted out.
It'll get sorted out in a moment.
Yeah.
Take care, guys. All keep your lookout and find your way together.
Mario is tumbling also a bit further. Will be really interesting to have a comparison between Sebastian and Mario, if we can have this.
Yes. Thomas turned the opposite way, and now he's reversed, and he's gone into the same climb as everybody else.
Okay, 200 meters difference, 250 something like this between Mario and Sebastian. Yeah. Both tumbling, but perhaps Mario is leaving again.
Mario seems to be happy to say, well, okay, I can't beat you there, I shall carry on running. I don't think it'd be very clever to run on without climbing here.
No,
into this next valley bench, what do you think?
Yeah, you don't want to be low, because then it's you have a lot of small walls, but if you're low, it's big walls for you.
Yeah.
So it can be a bit tricky, and you want to gather more energy before going to the east.
Yeah.
So let's go with French.
It's exciting because Mario's got something in his mind.
Yeah, he's bouncing to the top north of the Serre de Mondenier now.
He's got something in his mind. He's got a plan, and we will see how well he can make it work. Yeah. Kilo Whiskey has decided to go with him.
Yeah, with Maximilian Says.
And I think Gilles, in this sort of situation, is a wonderful pilot. He has a wonderful way of just creeping along and finding the right route.
So Gilles is just 2,000 meters, and if it's really nice on the next slope, just the right part of the screen, then he will go straight. And India made a turn, and I think Mario is 1,900. And he's still bouncing again, and they all want to get a bit of energy. So it's a bit messy for now.
Mario gained 100 meters there without really stopping to circle. And although he might be lower than Sebastian, who's well behind him, there's not that much in it. There's still one thermal. But if he finds a good climb, he will be back up on the top again. Kilo Whiskey thinks it's going to be good here. He's having a look. Just test it, and Gilles is quite wise. Oh no, he's decided maybe it's not so good. And here comes everybody else. They will be trailing along and enjoying this ride for a while, but I suspect we're in for something quite different to happen in the next few moments. because they are. I think Mario's doing okay. He's flying in good energy. He's got a good line. Maybe our airborne weatherman can give us some information soon. We're not getting anything at the moment. The link is via GSM, it's via 4G. So we only really get the information when he's in a good region to pass it on to us. So we have to wait until he comes into a better area.
Sebastian wants to climb. You can see at the bottom right of the screen Oscar Sierra, and he's quite the highest, 2,200 meters. And Thilo Holigaos is also there, so the main pack is also there. And yeah, let's go to a real. We have some image in real and live from our spy in the air. And it's interesting because it's nice looking, but also it's not so high above the ground.
It's low. There's not a lot of advantage in trying to climb really high when you can't. When there's not the option to get like 2.5, 2.8, 2.9, something like that.
So the ceiling is limited.
Yeah. So it's going to be a weaving flight, moving around gently, 100 meters here, 100 meters there.
But you have to find the line, the best line to go to a turn point, the best line to get out of this turn point on the east with this limited bandwidth you can use and energy, and then out to come back to Saint-Auban, which is much more clear and open space compared to this area.
So a really good indication of the confidence of the pilots when they're flying along a line like this is the speeds they're flying at. And you can see the Gilles flying 170, 180, and that means he's happy, but he's not really pushing on. Mario, he's probably averaging about 170, 180, same sort of deal. He's not really pushing along, so they're just trying to hug the cloud base, move along slowly,
maintain
keep it
altitude.
going.
Yeah.
The guys behind can climb high, but what benefit they get from that is doubtful if the cloud base is low ahead.
Sometimes when we coach the pilots, we ask them, okay, keep doing it in a fluid way, in a flow.
Get a rhythm.
Yeah.
Once you've got a rhythm, you can keep it moving.
So no big push, no big pull, but just keep it moving to maintain the altitude and to make the best of the energy you have around. And okay, you have to be open-minded, and if you think something is really good, take it, but keep it freed.
Yeah. And the thermal that Werner found is really good, and everybody's joined it. Not everybody,
meters,
but most people. And they've all gained a good altitude here. So now we have a completely different run in to the turning point, with India pushing on ahead all the time at 1,800 meters or so, 17, 1,800 meters. And these guys are going to be able to run to the turning point. Maybe we can check the distance to the turning point, Seb, in a moment. And
we will try, because I think we had some poor data on the first turn point, so we have to do a bit of trick.
Right,
but yeah, it seems to work a bit.
No, it's not too bad.
Top right of the screen, so right part of the screen, so you have a table with distance to the next turn point, Saint-André-des-Alpes, with Mario leading the pack, just 8 kilometers from the turn point, and Philippe Depuchy is 10 kilometers behind, 10 kilometers.
Yeah, Mario's problem really is that he can't take the turning point at this altitude and make it back over the coupe, can he?
Except if he finds a nice thermal close to the turn point.
But he needs to find some energy.
Yeah, somewhere.
To get out of there, he needs to find the energy that will allow him to come back out without having to climb.
And we will see, because I think Mario knows really well the area, and he knows where he can sneak out in a way, and then get to the next spot. Yesterday was really like this, because he knew the spot of Les Apôtres was the one of the day, and he made 3 times.
But he'll also know that he needs to be able to clear coupe. So it won't be a surprise to him. He'll have it in his plan. He'll be already calculating this and saying, am I doing the right thing here? Do I actually need to get a little bit higher to be sure to clear it? Because he's 1,700 meters, so he's just not losing altitude, is he? He's just running really nicely.
You have a nice slope just after, so to the east of a turn point, but perhaps it's not so easy to use. And then you have some small hills here and here, and I think if you are really low, he wants to use this to go back to what we call coupe here. Yeah. So coming back from the south part of coupe and then using this long slope, and perhaps finding a really nice thermal, because this slope races towards the south with a lot of sun from the morning, really hot area, and you can have really nice thermals from in this area. So this would be the exit if you are really low, compared to to the pilots with Sebastian Kawa, who are really higher. So it will be completely different life, and we will see how it goes on in a few minutes.
So the top of the coupe is about 1,400 meters.
Yeah, something like this.
Yeah. So he's actually needs maybe 17, 18 when he turns to be more confident to get back over it, but that will be marginal.
And he's 1,700 meters, 1,800 meters.
And
now.
he's running in energy. He's picking a good line. And we have Sebastian behind him, 11 kilometers, 5 kilometers behind.
So it's a bit of Pac-Man for now, because it's higher, so he can fly straight and with more speed.
And maybe if we put Sebastian's information on the bottom, we can check his
Sebastian.
height. And see whether there's any big difference, any big advantage. So 2-2, he's only 500 meters higher and he's 5 kilometers behind. Well, actually, he's ahead.
But he flies
in
faster.
energy terms, yeah. In energy terms, he's ahead.
But still, you need a bit of time. So if India, so Mario is finding a good thermal, then he will still be the leader.
Exactly. Mario needs to find 2 to 3 meters to actually be ahead.
Something like this.
Yeah, but at the moment, if we stop now and Sebastian has more energy, so we will just see how this pans out. It's very interesting to watch a really workmanlike performance here by Mario.
So thank you to the people, I think, from Vinon, who made from Fayence, the club of Fayence, which is close to Nice on the Riviera coast, so southeast of this area we are racing now. We made an antenna, an antenna receiver in this area, so we have really good reception and good data here to enjoy the race. And Mario is now turning the second turn point of Saint-André-des-Alpes.
Bravo, the Club de Fayence.
Yeah, bravo. Thank you very much. This is really nice.
But I love it. We have to be excited by the way in which the pilot like Mario can just have a really positive idea about what he wants to do and work his idea and make it work for him all the way along. Sometime the wheels come off and it doesn't work, but so far he's been able to fulfill his planning and he's been rescued once or twice, but not really from a big problem, but he's been put back into a good position. And that's what he needs now. He needs for it to work out for him. But he's 1,600 meters. It's not high, but he's flying in quite good energy. And they're still climbing again. There's Sebastian and there's Oscar Hudrian there and René. And I think we have Melanie there and Tila. They're all together. Everybody is coming in. Catherine is there and Peter Panic is there. So they're all coming in more or less the same height, more or less together. There'll be some comfort in that for them.
Gilles is making a bit of different route. I think he's following some cumulus and line of energy. But for now, it's not working so well.
But look at the difference in the distance between India and Kilo Whiskey when they crossed Mondenia almost together. They were very close together, very similar altitude. And that's what I mean by very positive flying. Mario has got a very clear idea what he wants to do. And he's not hesitating. He's got no doubt in his mind about it. He's very positive. And so he's able just to keep going and keep going and keep going. And we need to think a little bit about the route he'll take coming out.
Okay, you know why we call him Super Mario?
Why do we call him Super Mario?
Yeah, because he's bouncing and bouncing on all the steps like this. So yeah, he's like a little guy from Italy.
Do you think everybody who's young pilots will remember Super Mario, or is it?
Yeah, because you have Super Mario 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it's okay. I think this reference will be okay for everybody and all generations.
I thought maybe it was a previous generation.
No, it's okay. So yeah, it seems to be clear that he's following the path, going back to the south of Coupe now. You can see that he's following the lines I just drove a few minutes ago. And he wants to keep going because he knows that this place could be a good spot. But yeah, Kilo Whiskey, Mr. Gilles Navas from France will be the second on the turn points, but quite, not low, but lower than the pack who is chasing him now. And Sebastian Kawa should be the third to turn the turn points. Really high, really nice area again of Saint-André-des-Alpes with a nice lake on the south, much less usable for aquatic sport, but still very nice, and some landing fields here. Let's go to the top, a turn point to see.
And just watch everybody in and around this turn. And the village is a beautiful place, Saint-André.
Yeah, it is.
And it has a very nice lake just to the south of it. And it is not a part of the Provence that many people will visit because it's a little bit off the track, a little bit off the main route.
We are east. We are in the what we call the Var area.
The Var region, yeah.
Yeah. So Philippe de Péchy making the fourth, and Uli Schwenk the fifth.
Melanie's still with the pack. Melanie's still flying there with them.
Oscar Goudrian.
Yeah. And Melanie's good. She's high. She's with them. She's not hanging back.
You have to remember, she told Claire today, I think I will follow the guys.
Yeah.
I want to learn, and I don't want perhaps to do a bit less what I want.
Very
my
wise,
ideas.
very wise girl. Very wise girl.
And Christophe Abadi seems to be a bit dropping, but really high. To Lima on the left part of the screen will be the last of the pack, but we will see. And again, a split. Kilo Whiskey going right. Oh, Gilles Navas. Yeah. So Gilles is lower.
Yeah.
And he's making a bit different, perhaps to make it better.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't have to because he maybe just a little bit, just to find a better energy line. Sebastian's got Mario in his sights. He's got the altitude. He's going to push on to try to catch him. He's got now 600, nearly 600 meters. Mario, that's quite a lot of altitude.
So this is Coupe. We saw before the really long one. So now I show you again because we change the orientation. The next turn point is there to the top of the screen. We go there, go back to Saint-Aubin and Montfort. But this is Coupe, the main target of Super Mario, and they are all leaving this area pretty high and following the same path, but higher. So we will see if there is any difference because of this altitude.
So one can assume, I think, that they will all want to climb on the coupe because after this, it's a long glide to Saint-Aubin.
And it's again a lower terrain. Yeah. Even if you have some hills, they are lower and lower and lower. So perhaps it will be more difficult to find a really good climb like they did before with Sebastian Kawa and the pack. So you have to think about this gear change again. Perhaps to lower the gear a bit and fly more conservative for a while. We will see that.
Sebastian's only flying at 170 kilometers an hour, and that isn't really very fast considering his altitude because he can see ahead on the coupe, find a climb. That's going to be plan A. On the coupe, find a climb. Let's take a trip back over the high ground, towards the beak, and pick up some altitude before we cross the valley.
So real life image from our spy in the air is just east of the competitors now. So this was the area when they made the turn point. And you can see the style of the terrain with some rocks on the south part and the east part, which is really hot and not a lot of vegetation. And the northwest part of all these hills are a bit more with vegetation, so more green. And this kind of not so high hills, you have 400, 500 meters above the lowest part of the terrain, but you can still bounce. And this was what used Mario Kisling mainly, to bounce and bounce and bounce again to go back to Coupe.
It looks really soft, Benj. It looks really soft.
It is a bit soft, yeah. And it's really useful for the hang gliding pilots because they have some really nice area. They can really easily start with no big risk to fall down. So yes, it's more soft, but still really okay and still in the style of Mario because it's
but
really
looking
nice
at those conditions, it's interesting so far. The race, everybody's sticking together because it's pretty obvious. But with that sort of cloud base, the Toisy-Veche is going to be an issue. They're going to have to really decide how to tackle this because there's a good chance that the cloud will be well down on there. So the first problem is to get round the turning point at Montfort, head off to the northeast again, and then run into trouble somewhere after Blayew and to decide how to deal with it. Let's hope that the cloud base comes up enough to make it a straightforward run when they get there.
So okay, we are on coupe with Philippe de Péchy just behind Sebastian Kawa. We are quite high, 2,000 meters. And Super Mario is leading, but he has to stop and climb now.
He hasn't picked up the climb he was hoping for.
Will be a bit difficult. We will see in a few seconds if everybody's catching up above Mario or below, but I think it will be a bit above for the pack of Sebastian and Philippe de Péchy now.
So maybe we come right behind maybe behind Tango Lima, and then we can see what's happening as they run into this thermal, just over the coupe now. That's great. So we can see the coupe there. We can see them running in. We can see Mario climbing. and he's got a reasonable climb. We can put his information on the bottom for you.
It's 1,900 meters.
But they're going to come in at more or less the same altitude.
Sebastian is same altitude, 1,900, so we are together.
Yes.
Pretty good.
So race starts again.
Yeah, pretty good.
But it was very entertaining for us, Mario. Thank you. We love to watch you flying like that. And if you keep doing that, if you get the timing right, then it'll be at the end and that'll be perfect.
So Mario and Sebastian Kawa together, and Philippe Depechy joining the thermal now. Uli Schwenk on 25 joining now. Oscar Goudrian from South Africa, Lima Golf joining also. Tango Lima, Louis Boudek from France, and Werner Amann, Whisky Golf. We have a bunch of really good pilots here.
You look down the right-hand page and you can see 1900 nearly all the way down and 2000, very close together.
So how many world champions in this tournament?
Yeah. That's an interesting statistic. And we'll count that later.
Please send us information. Yeah, just check on the internet and tell us how many world champions in this tournament.
It's a pretty big number.
And some of them are many times.
Not only how many of them have been world champions, how many world championships have they won between them? That's a lot. That's a lot.
But the good thing about this Grand Prix is normally these guys, they don't fly together in the same class. You have to know that for the people who don't follow really a lot the gliding community and the gliding scene, we have different kind of gliders in the normal championship. We have 15 meters, we have open class, we have 18 meters. This is all about the wingspan, so the length of the wings. And so a lot of these pilots, they don't fly normally together. And the Grand Prix is also really nice for that because we pack all together the best pilots from each classes in the normal championship. And this is a really unique moment you can follow now because it's a lot of world champion in one thermal.
It is. There's a lot of world championships in one thermal. And the pilots who fly the Grand Prix, they love it because it's a small competition by comparison with the World Championships. So they have the opportunity to get to know the other pilots. They know they're flying with pilots who normally fly in a different class. So they have a great opportunity to fly with them. And it's not only a privilege for them to do this, but it's a joy for them to do this. I know when you talk to these guys, they say it's just so much fun flying alongside a guy who you don't normally fly with, but you respect a lot and you admire a lot. And that format of bringing them together for one competition seems to be very successful. It seems to attract some of these very good pilots from the different classes around the world.
And we bring them in two ways. We bring them together on the ground because they have much more time to share together. So we have a lot of really interesting discussion and in between them. So it's really rich. And also they start together because it's a regatta start. So they also come along all day long to lead the race. And this is really also interesting and enjoyable for us.
There's a certain camaraderie. There's a certain relationship which you get when you have to start at the same time, because then you are comparing your flight exactly with the other guys. If you take a conventional championship, there can be 30 minutes or an hour between the start times. So when you talk about your performance, you're talking about two completely different things. It's apples and oranges. And sometimes it's luck, sometimes it's good experience. So
something is wrong with Tango Lima, but he's back in the pack in a few seconds.
Yeah, he just went to have a look from outside.
Yeah.
And he didn't like it, so he's come back. Yeah, it's too cold out there. I get back in with my friends.
This was entertaining.
Good altitude now. Back into proper Saint-Aubin country.
Yeah. Sebastian is at the top of his thermal, 2,500. Uli Schwenk, Louis Boudalik all together also 2,500, 2,300. Mario is also there, 2,500, so it's really tight. They are all together. The race starts again, but Sebastian wants to show
Sebastian
something.
wants to go. That's good. So what's the distance to the turning point from here?
Oh, it's
going to be 30 kilometers.
Yes,
maybe?
normally it's 30 kilometers from Coupe to go back to Saint-Aubin.
So 26 kilometers is the 27 kilometers, 28 kilometers. That's interesting because they really don't want to be turning at 1,100, 1,200 meters. They want to be turning at 1,600, 1,700 meters to come back onto the hills, because they have to take the turn at Montfort on the western side of the Saint-Aubin Valley, and then they have to go back onto the hills to climb.
Yeah.
I suppose there's a chance there'll be some reasonable energy around Montfort, but more likely to be a bit beyond it. And you don't want to go beyond it because you have to fly the extra distance.
Yeah, when you think about deep valleys like in Saint-Aubin, and when you are coming back from high, average high mountains here, with high altitude onto the cumulus, you don't want to fall too low, but because then it can be difficult if you don't find the thermal as easily. So here you have what we call Cousson, which is quite usable, and the city of Digne is just here. And then you have a solution to follow. There is a river going back to Saint-Aubin here, coming from Digne. And there is, this area is a plateau, so really flat, but a bit higher compared to this area. And then you have a lot of small hills here and higher hills here, and also here you can use east of Saint-Aubin airfield. And with potential nice bubbles you want to use to go to the next turn point. But then, yes, to avoid to be too low on this turn point.
So they should plan to climb on the Pilon, perhaps, or on the hills just before the
It's
Pilon.
the last solution, yes.
Yeah.
Just east of the airfield you have what we call the Pilon, and but this will be the last solution if you are feeling low.
Yeah. And how about going even further to the north, towards the beak, to get really high to take the turn? Is that, do you think, an option? They seem to be going more to the south to follow the escarpment. Maybe there's cumulus along there.
It's just 20 kilometers to go to the next turn point. So if you go really to the right side of the screen to make a big detour, it has to be worth it. And I think for now, as you have some cumulus on the airfield, perhaps you will have a view from the airfield, the camera, and we will see how it is in the sky, and I think it's not worth it to make the detour.
Yeah, it's unlikely. Here we go.
Yeah, you can see. So this camera is towards the northeast, on the first hills on the east of the airfields. What we call the pylon are just on the right side of the screen, and you can see it's really nice cumulus. And I think the pilots, they want to just enter this cumulus on the right of the screen with a line coming back to here. So just to find a really interesting line to use and go back.
So we should stay on the, they should stay on the south side.
So for now, Mr. Sebastian Kawa is leading the pack now, 2,300 meters, and we are just short, I think, 12 to 20 kilometers to the next turn point of Montfort. And a lot of pilots are together with no big difference. And I think we will see the next turn points in real, in live, with real footage from the next turn point of Montfort, just to show you how it works. I know how it is in Montfort. But yes.
Show you the beautiful village, what it looks like?
Yeah, it is.
It is a beautiful place.
So 2 packs for now, one on the left of the screen, one on the right, and here we go for the next turn point of Montfort with real images.
So we can go back to altitude and see how well they're doing on this leg.
So this is Montfort, just west of the field of Saint-Aubin. And this is a small hill with a city on the top, and it's really nice. And normally it's where we start to make the landing pattern for Saint-Aubin airfield. And a lot of time you have nice thermal just around this small hill of Montfort. And I hope that the pilot will be much higher than what we saw in the footage.
But it is one of the most distinctive features of Saint-Aubin. If you're lucky enough to come and fly here and visit the airfield, it's not only got a beautiful view looking out to the east from here towards Digne, but when you stand on the airfield, there's this magnificent village standing above the airfield on the western side with its old Roman church on the top. And it's absolutely typical of Provence that you have these lovely flat pan-tiled roofs. And I always remember this. Whenever I think of Saint-Aubin, I think of standing on the airfield and looking at this village, overlooking the airfield, almost like a guardian of the airfield.
Images now with the airfield of Saint-Aubin and the vicinity of the airfield just on the north. And so the pilots will be over this area also when they turn to Montfort. Montfort is just on the left of the screen. And this is a plateau just south of Saint-Aubin. with what we call les mets, the weird things just before the plateau.
Erosion.
Yeah, the erosion things. And this typical Provence area, and the river just on the north. This is Durance River. We are just on the north of Saint-Auban in the small village of Volon. And you can see again these small footer hills. There are bigger hills just on the top right of the screen, which are called Vaumas. And this is a typical layout and terrain we have here, with villages at the bottom, and then small first hill, footer hills like this, and then bigger hills. And so you have to think always about step by step when you fly in this area. First on the smaller hills and take altitude, and then going back to the higher hills. But let's go back to the 3D, because they are arriving really close to the turn points with no big problem, I think. Yeah, we are back.
And it's exciting to see Oscar in Lima Golf. He will have had a lovely time, because I talked to Oscar this morning about the flying here and asked him how he liked it, and he said it's magnificent. He said he just wished somebody would flatten out all these mountains and make it a bit easier for him. So today he's had his wish. Somebody's flattened the mountains, and there he is, right up at the front, having had a really wonderful first part of the race without having to worry too much about which side of the mountain he ought to go.
And we have a break. We have a break perhaps between the two groups with at the top, central top of the screen, you have Oscar Sierra and Lima Golf, so Oscar Gudrian and Sebastian Kawa from Poland together, followed by Whiskey Golf, Werner Hamann from Austria, and the group of India, so Mario Kisling on the bottom left of the screen. They made a bit of a left route, and they stopped just for one turn, but now they are going again straight to the next turn point. And the difference in altitude is, I think it's really tight.
Yeah, it is really tight, but it's Sebastian's in front. And
a bit higher in front, yeah.
Yeah, he has to choose the route he wants to take, and he will not receive any information from anybody else. Everybody else will see the route he takes, and some people will choose another route. And it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. I think there is an obvious route that you have to head to Vaumeuse and Autun. And then from there back over Jouet and to or to Blayew, and then to cross over to Toisy-Bèche.
Yeah, we'll see that in the next leg. But yeah, it was really interesting from the designer of the task of today of the race. So Roger Herrier from Saint-Auban National Center, and Régis Kuntz, the contest director, because to make this turn point in a low area, which is really close to the airfield, we know it can be tricky for the pilots. Because it's low, and normally we make them going to the highest mountain, and they keep going to the highest mountain for a while, and then they go back at the end for the finish to the lowest mountain. But today they make it quite high mountains and really low points here back. And this is, you can see that it's tricky for the pilots, and they don't know what is the best to do.
Mm-hmm. And there will be times in this flight, and we have one coming now, when it's not best to be the first person. Because if half the pilots choose a different route, then you can be left hung out to dry. I don't think there's a lot of options here. Do you, Benj? Do you think it's pretty clear what you'll do after Montfort?
I think, yeah, based on the screen we can see on the camera out, it's quite easy to spot that there is a line going to what we call Vaumeuse North, Vaumas Nord. And they will follow this line after the turn points to go to this Vaumas Nord, and then enjoy following this slope going to the northeast to the next leg. We will see that in a few minutes.
Sebastian has decided to leave before the top.
Perhaps he made a mistake in the turn point. He goes to Montfort, or he goes to Perruy.
No, he must be. He doesn't make such a mistake. He doesn't make such a mistake. But he's obviously seen something. He's seen a little bit of energy, a bit of cumulus he wants to divert to. And what has happened is that several pilots have gained a small advantage in that thermal. Whether they found a little bit of a stronger core to climb up and they outclimbed him, or whether he moved over to a better place, it didn't work. Okay, but they're all going to run in at more or less the same height.
Who will be the highest? Who will be the first? They are all together. They are all together. It's really impressive. They are all together.
So we look right down on the top. Sebastian is going to turn right directly into the path of Tangolima, but I'm sure he's seen him.
Yeah, Louis Budalik is here.
Yeah.
He had 2 bad days. Yesterday he made a mistake on a turn point. He had to go back to a turn point, so it cost him a lot. And he still has 0 points. And today he's leading like Sebastian. They are together, two great pilots. Okay, Sebastian is multiple world champion, but Louis is also world champion. And he knows the place really well.
Yeah. So a beautiful view of everybody taking the turning point. But Sebastian has to take it just a little wider than he normally does because of the number of sailplanes on his right.
Okay, Louis leading with Sebastian. Marius is here. Philippe de Pechy is here. Laurence Guderian is here. Mario Kisling is here. Uli Schwenk is here. Delta Zulu is, I think, Bastian Pristavec from Slovenia is here. 120, so from Chile, René Vidal is also here. 3 Victor and Whiskey Golf, Thilo Rigaus and Werner Hamann. What a race.
It is, and they've now got a 200-kilometer race.
And Mike 7 is making another decision again. He's going to the right. This will be interesting in a few minutes. He's a bit lower, so perhaps he has another idea. We will see that.
They've just flown a 140-kilometer race, and now we have a 200-kilometer race.
Let's start again.
Yeah, everybody's together. It's really interesting to see how that flatland part of it would have given us a photo finish if we'd have finished here. But we're heading now, and what are we looking at there, Benj?
So this is Vaumas and then Vaumas again. So there is a quite difference here. You can see the orientation. This is really a west slope, and this is much more northwest slope. So we call it Vaumas North and Vaumas South. And they are heading to what we call Auton-Mélan here. So this is perhaps the spot they are looking for, and then we'll have to talk about Jouer and this kind of Monge area, which are just before, at the horizon, the parcours. But this is not for the next minutes. So
but the altitude they have is well above the mountains.
Oh yeah, it's just 1,300 meters, and this is the lowest part, but it's going to 1,400, and Auton is 1,500, 1,600. This is quite low, and they are still quite high compared to, so no problem.
So they should be able to cruise. They get the benefit of the south side and the sun, and the valley breeze on the north side, and they should be able to cruise all the way up. Possibly no need to circle until they get behind Auton, onto the Monge, or onto the next one, Jouer. Jouer is much higher. Jouer is what, 1,800 maybe?
Yeah, something like this, and Les Monges is a bit more, 2,000 meters. So we go step by step higher and higher. So this will make the race in the next few minutes, how to deal with this higher and higher.
Mike Seven's gone off on his own again. He's set off on a completely different way.
Yeah, he's going east. You can see that he's much lower, so he wants to go straight to the first hills of the southwest part of Vaumus and follow these hills perhaps to the north, or perhaps he's going directly to the east to what we call La Bigue, which is east right part of the screen for now. But I think he will follow the hills below him now.
Maybe he's going directly to Crête de Limon.
This could be also a solution if you want to make it the low solution, going east before coming to the highest mountains. We will see. But I think you want to get some altitude now.
Looking at that decision, to me, it looks like somebody who's never flown here before.
Yes, completely. Yeah,
and we know that Marius has never flown here before. He's probably never had those long hours of trying to get off the Pilon and up the route and onto Vaumus and away. And so he doesn't know that route is such a good one and such an easy one once you've got this altitude. I'm sure that he's seen it on other people's files, and I'm sure he's had it explained to him. But he can see cumulus. And if he can see cumulus, he's probably thinking, well, I'll just follow those cumulus. That's what I understand. That's what I know. Head for Crête de Limon, take it up to Blaeu, and then I'm on to Troisy-Bèche. What could be difficult about that?
Yeah, Marius is really, he told us before we started, he's really open-minded. He doesn't know really well the place, but he uses all the information he can get from the cockpit, and he makes also a lot of preparation before to make a what if, and then to have some choices. So we will see in few minutes if we have some choices.
But I don't think there's more than 3 or 4 kilometers between the first glider in this line and the last glider. So if we look straight down the line as they go along Vaumus towards Auton, we can follow them up onto the next level, up onto the next stage. And we can see that Peter Panic is there and Melanie is there at the back. They're having a nice ride. They're probably enjoying the view of having all these guys in front of them. And the climb has emerged. They will probably try to get enough altitude to go to Blaye or to straight over to the Jouet.
I think there will be a big question in the cockpit now if they want to keep the thermal here, or if they feel that it is better on the slope, which are just left part of the screen, which is the big rock of Auton. And then just above them on the screen also, you have some, okay, so this is Vomaz, and they use it now to get a thermal. And this is Auton, which can be a really good spot also for thermals. And then you have also what we call Auribeau, which is just there, not far away. And you have really, really nice things also. And then Les Monges, which is really a bit higher and going like this. And this is also a really great spot, perhaps, to go this way. This would be the left way, the northwest way. But if you think that you can be high enough there to go to Blayeul, which is here, and to the highest part of Blayeul, or to the footer of Blayeul, which are there, to the great thermal, then you can have a more straight strategy and faster, perhaps. So this would be if it's a long way to go and you are a bit too low, and if this would be perhaps a more interesting way, if it's better to go straight.
But maybe it's a consideration that arriving at Blayeul below the top with 18 gliders together now, it's a little bit busy in that, and you know that you need to climb in the bowl in that little area.
Blayeul is tricky. Blayeul is tricky, because we know only 2 or 3 spots on Blayeul which are really okay, and then it's just you can go along with a bit of energy and a bit of breeze, but it's not really so strong. So you have to arrive at a good altitude and a good point. And yes, if you have a pack like this with 17 pilots. Or 20 pilots with a bunch of world champions, this would be a bit messy.
Yeah, nobody will want to give way, but everybody want to give space.
Yes.
But maybe when you arrive in Blayeul, you can fly along the western face until you come over the top, and then find the climb right over the top but lower down Blayeul, and maybe climb independently there.
You know, but sometimes, from time to time in the cockpit, you feel that if you're the first to reach the thermal, it will be a win. And this is one of a kind of thermal, like Blayeul. You know that if you're the first to get the thermal, just a few seconds before the others, then you are higher and you are free. Yeah. And this is a mess below.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry. And also you can dictate the direction of thermaling and where to thermal. And you don't have to try to fit into somebody else's idea of where it is. And Mario is back in front. Mario has decided that he prefers to have nobody in front of him. And
so
we
just left Vomaz and cross the southeast part of Auton-Mélan, and they go to Auribeau, and I think we have some nice footage from Mélan-Auton, just to show you how it is in real, and a really nice view of Auribeau now in 3D. But yes, this is Auton-Mélan. This is the northwest part of Auton-Mélan, and they did not flew just above this. They went to the southeast part, which is much more greenish. And this is one of the biggest spots for the people who fly in Saint-Auban, in the 20 kilometers around Saint-Auban. But yes, go back to 3D, and all the pilots are now reaching the great view of Auribeau slope, and all together. And Mario, yes, is leading again.
Mario's probably got another one of those plans of how he's going to run this. And he may be that he doesn't want anybody in front of him to influence him. I know that it's if you know exactly what you want to do, you don't get influenced by other people if you can push ahead a little.
And he knows that it's one of the key points. You are the first in the thermal. Yeah. You can be a winner just for the next 20, 30 kilometers.
And Monge is working well. They're getting good altitude and they're heading for Blayeul.
I think they're heading to Blayeul, yes. Yeah. They will use this route. I will show you. So this is Auribeau here. And then you have some small hills here, and here also at the footer of Blayeul, and then the top of Blayeul. So this will be perhaps the way we want to go to then get to La Blanche before crossing to the next valley.
And Mike 7, what's happened to him? Has he found his way to Crête de Limon, or is he wondering where everybody's gone?
Mike 7 is 2,000 meters, so Marius Pluskokas from Lithuania. Oh, yeah, interesting. He's on, I think he's already on the Crête de Liman, which are, interesting.
Yeah, he's found a much more direct route.
A bit of a top view, just to have an idea if the detour is quite the same between the left part of the pack and Mario on the right of the route. So we'll zoom a bit.
If Marius can arrive at the Blayu higher than the others when they get there, there'll be a lot of red faces amongst the French pilots who know the way really well. Thinking, how did he get there? How did he know that?
Well, we will see Marius with more zoom, just to show you the Crête de Liman. Yeah. Now he has a really nice slope, which is going up and more and with more altitude and more altitude.
And if he knows the area well, he knows that you can just fly directly up the slope.
Yep.
You can just fly along the very top in energy all the way to the top without circling. And maybe he feels, okay, I take a turn or two here and then I'll carry on up.
So this is Crête de Liman, and then it's Blayeul here. The limit is it's greenish and then it's much more rocky. So we call them in two different ways. And just in between, around this area, a lot of time you have a really great time. So he doesn't know that, but he has a good one, 2.8, 2.7, and perhaps he knows that the pack on the west has not such a lot of difference of altitude. So it's a good thing to get a bit of time here to be higher, and then follow, and then perhaps he will be lucky to have a really nice thermal here to cross then to the east.
But he should have cumulus. He should be able to see cumulus on there. If it's good, it'll be marked with a cumulus. And we know that the others, if they arrive inside the bowl of Blayeul, they might have to fly down to this point to get that climb if they're below the top. So they should meet up somewhere here. And he's climbing all the way. He's climbing as he goes. So we can now see that he's a very interesting flight, that he's pushed off on his own this way. And
he's higher.
Yeah, he's climbing as he goes.
He's higher than the pack.
Yeah.
They are 2,200 meters, and they have not such a nice mountain he can follow now. And they have just small hills. They can bounce on it, but now he has like a big wave he can surf on.
And we're watching. He's flying quite fast. He's really pushing along. They said he's not flying slowly in energy. He's pushing hard to get higher up the slope. How high is that point you were indicating, Benj, with the top of the mountain? More than 2,000 or less?
Must be 2,100 meters, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's got the altitude now to be just above it, which
yeah,
is okay.
No
if
problem.
you're just
it's
above
the best.
it, you can turn.
It's the best, yeah. It's really the best now, the best position. And Mario and the pack, they are 1,900, 2,000 meters. They are a bit below, so they will arrive, I think, a bit later.
Tilo's coming.
We will see perhaps on the more top view if we have some distance difference between Marius and Mario, and they seems to use a complete different route now. We will see in a few seconds. Yeah, they don't go perhaps to the top of Blayeul.
Yeah, maybe they're going to go direct.
Yeah.
And 3 Victor looks like he's going to Blayeul. He's heading this way.
Yeah.
And but the main pack with Mario and with Sebastian and Whiskey Golf, and I think Jules is with them. They've all gone on to the directly towards the Toisy-Bèche, to the top.
So we'll lose a bit of data as usual in this black hole for the data we have on the area of Blayeul. But interesting to see that Marius made this completely different choice to go directly to Crête de Liman and Blayeul, and now he's in a really good altitude with 2,400 meters compared to the pack who is going to the footer of the parcours, the northwest part of the parcours, with Sebastian Kawa and Mario Kisling from Germany. And this will be a complete different, perhaps, life in the cockpit, because the difference in altitude when they reach the parcours will be really, really different.
And the altitude that Sebastian has now, if he goes directly over Ceres, is it? And then he goes directly to the parcours, he's going to have to climb.
Yeah, he's going to Sept Alps. The airfield is
Yeah,
Sept Alps.
over Seine, that's the one.
Yeah, and you don't want to be so low there.
No.
Okay, you have some footer with some hills, but you can see that it's
You don't have a lot of options.
Yeah,
Imagine you could find a climb here.
And it's a bit.
This area is pretty
the problem
good.
is it's a bit messy. You can see it's soft things again.
Yeah.
And you don't have really hard rocks compared to what you see at the top of the screen now. This is hard rocks, but you have to be much higher.
Yeah.
So he wants to climb,
Yeah.
and you can see that the style he's using now is okay. I go left, I go right. I pull on the stick to get some altitude when I have some energy. Nobody wants to be so low
Philip's
here.
back with him, and Louis back with him. Oscar's there. Oscar's hanging on. He's not letting it go.
Philippe de Péchy is here. Maximilian Seyss is here. Lima Bravo. They want to climb.
And
Bravo Kilo. Catherine Zenner.
Oscar's got Sebastian in his sights and said, okay, I may not know the mountains, but I do know how to fly with somebody. So you just show me the way, boys, and I'll stick with you.
So Marius is 500 meters above them.
Yeah. And is he still climbing, Marius?
No, I don't think so. He's
left
now
now.
heading to a parkour, and we will see where he goes on the parkour in a few minutes.
Sebastian's left. He's gone on. And so he'll be crossing now to the parkour. And they're all going to arrive, and the only person with any real option is Mike 7, is Marius. The others will have to climb when they get there to pass
they have
over
to take
the
some
top.
time now.
I don't think you can go into the Barcelonette Valley, not efficiently, if you're only just at the top of the parkour on the north side of the Toisy Vech.
And I
You
think
need
Mario
more.
Kisling is struggling a bit. I think they are struggling a bit. They are too low. They are too low on the footer close to Saint-Les Alpes, and they are struggling now. So it's difficult. So this group must climb. They need to climb. Even if a climb rate is not so fast, they need to invest time now. And Marius has a complete different life now on the center part of the screen. He will reach now the hills. Yeah, we have a very nice view. I think it's Lubac.
It's Lubac?
Yeah, must be one of the Hubac. There isn't many Hubac here, but this is Hubac for pilots. And it's, again, a very nice hill. And he reached the hill at a good altitude. Not so high, but just above.
He's okay.
So if there is a thermal, it will be an easy life to get the thermal for him.
And Lubac is sort of a division in the valley between
Yes.
the south part of the valley near Digne and the north part of the valley near Seine. And I think quite often, Ben, you get a bit of a convergence along this.
Yeah, you have this valley coming from here, and also you have some air coming from here a lot of time. So you have like a confluence here, a bit of confluent wind from the southeast and from the northwest, and this makes this Hubac hill quite interesting. So we will see how it works for Marius, but it's a much better life compared to other pilots.
So when we start to recover the data as they come past Seine, we can just recap where everybody is, because I think it might be a little bit demoralizing for some of the pilots who are just slowly falling behind. There's maybe 8 or 10 pilots who are just gently losing a little bit each thermal, and they're gently losing a kilometre or two and a little bit of altitude, and the route has been chosen for them, but they don't have the plan.
You know, it was a bit like yesterday when they came back to Lure, to the airfield here, at the 1/3 of the task of yesterday. And you could feel that for Philippe de Péchy, for Sylvain Jabot, they felt in the cockpit that they were losing the path. And it was then really difficult. And just because when you are becoming low, you have much less possibilities. And compared to pilots who are just 100 meters above you, and then it's just in few seconds you can feel that, oh, no, I don't get the thermals, and they are climbing, and I will be alone. And then it's a complete different life in the cockpit.
It looks like Max has tried to climb quite high. We can't see Max at the moment, but he's...
2,400, Lima Bravo, I think he's central left part of the screen, yes.
Yeah, he's hung back a little bit along with...
and Sebastian Kawa pushed a lot,
along
like
with Philippe.
Uli Schwenk. They are now on the footer of the parkour, 1,800. This is not low, it's okay for the safety, no problem. But it's too low to be ready in the race, in a snap.
Unless you get a really good climb here.
And guess you are a bit lucky.
Yeah,
and yesterday, Sebastian told us that at one point he was a bit lucky.
Yeah.
That's why he was able to make we call that a Pac-Man from behind the pack and to reach and overtake the other guys.
Yeah, but some people carry their luck with them. They have some in the cockpit, and they just use a little bit every time they need it. And I think Sebastian's one of those guys. You think, he needs a bit of luck, and it's there. So I'm sure he's got a big lucky bag that he can take with him, which and I think you make a lot of your own luck. Now we see Uli. Uli's going to try to he's going to find some lift there, but will it be strong enough to make up for it? Sebastian is looking on the spine. He's going to turn towards Uli probably. So 1.5 meters isn't enough. They need a little bit more than that.
You can see the technique of pilots when they reach the hills. Yeah, you have this kind of footer here, and they use it to get some thermal activity. But so we will show you in a better way.
Maybe we come right in behind Sebastian and see what happens when he joins Uli.
Let's go to Sebastian, joining Uli. Okay, you can see that they are not so high compared to the top of the ridge, which is La Blanche here. And this is not so easy life. They are really close to the ridge, so it's technically difficult.
Yeah, and the rate of climb's not so good. They're going up.
Because you can see also the way the ridge is like here. There is a kink in the ridge, just above the green part when you start to be on the rocky part of the hill. And this is a tad bit more flat where they are. So the thermal is a bit weak compared to when you will be on the rock in a few seconds.
So whilst we can see them climbing back up through 2,000 meters, we have Werner and Mario 500 meters higher, and they'll be coming into the top of this, and maybe they will climb, but maybe they can go straight over.
They don't want to go there so low. They know that this is the green part is the kink.
Yeah.
And this is really interesting to see what is going on when the people who took a bit of time to climb before going to the ridges of the parkour, if they are going above or not. We will see in a few seconds.
But they're going to be at the top very soon.
And Marius at the top of the screen, top of the right, he has a completely different life now.
I wonder if he's looking down saying, I wonder who all those guys are down there.
But perhaps
why are they all so low? What are they doing? But what's his height now, Marius? He's 2,500.
Yeah.
And he's happy.
And Louis Boudaric is 2,700. So they made a stop just before going to this hill. We will see in a few seconds.
But they're climbing well now. Uli and Sebastian are climbing quite well. They're going to come up pretty quick. So can they come up quick enough to close the distance? I suspect they will. I suspect it'll be strong.
And India, Mario Kisling is on the right of the screen, so he made really a fall in the overall of the pack now.
And we can see that Philippe and Louis are arriving at more or less the same height. So they've not, Uli and Sebastian haven't lost anything. Mario's the gainer here. He's the one who's really picked it up. And Golf Tango, we have Thomas down there in the valley. Trying to work out how he can get back with everybody else because he's taken slightly further route and he's going to have to find something to climb in. Whiskey Golf was 2,700, but now he's going to be the same height. So actually it's worked out okay for them. They've got a good enough climb. Everybody's going to be together again. We will see what happens with Marius if he now has another idea about where he wants to go. What do you think? I think he'll go straight for Chapeau Gendarme. He's not really stopping climb. If we look down on the top of this bunch.
We will go to Marius to check what is going on,
Thomas has found something in the middle of the valley. He's a good mountain pilot, Thomas. He's got a lot of experience flying in the mountains. He's flown New Zealand, he flies Rieti, he flies Varese, so he knows what to do.
So let's go with Marius. And it's interesting because he's high and he makes a detour to go a bit to the north, and I'm not sure he knows what to do now. This is a problem because he doesn't know exactly the area.
Well, he doesn't, but he doesn't so far seem to have had a problem in picking out a decent route.
But you can see the altitude is not climbing at all. So I'm not sure he knows what to do here. This will be interesting to follow him in a few minutes when we have better data. But now the back
he's going to take Chapeau Gendarme and then cross the valley. Because don't forget, he did this once already. He's been there once before.
Perhaps we have some webcam from Pralou, which is close to the turn points, and we can see also how it is in real for the weather. and with some, if there is cumulus or if it is more difficult.
Now, Mario has been rather dumped here. He's been rather left behind.
Yeah. Mario had some problems.
It's not big time, but it's enough at this stage of the race to start to make a difference.
I think he was really low just after north of Blaye. He was really low, so it was.
But catching 200, 300 meters back in the next 50 kilometers, it could be quite difficult.
So we have a leader with Marius Pluskokas from Lithuania heading to what we call Grand Seolan before going to Barcelonnette. And we have a chasing pack a bit below and behind with the group of Mario Kissling. And we have also a second chasing pack, which is a bit north of their position, but 300 meters higher with Sebastian Kawa. This will be interesting. Mm-hmm. But let's have a view on the real weather in this area. So this is from Pralou, and this is the southwest part of this valley, and it's heading to the north. And so the turn point will be a bit on the right of the screen. And you can see that the slopes north of this valley are really promising with some cumulus. And the eastern part of this area, I show you on the screen, is Grand Bérard here. And you can see really nice cumulus here and a bit of shade, which means that these cumulus are making a bit of shade. They are good, nice. And this will be perhaps the spot because they have to make the turn point, which is a bit on the right of the screen here on the airfield of Barcelonnette. But it's promising, very promising.
It looks a lot better than previous days when we've been in this valley.
It's less moist.
It's been quite overcast and quite difficult to see where you will be able to climb.
So we're going back to the 3D in a few seconds now. We are losing a bit data from Marius Pluskokas, but data from Mr. Sebastian Kawa's caster. He is following the same way, going to Grand Seolan.
So they will catch each other up soon. This group will come back together, and Mario's group have got a good altitude now, so they'll be in the chase.
Yeah. And Werner Amann, bottom left of the screen, also is gathering energy and altitude because he doesn't want to be low. You have to remember.
Yeah, I think that the group off the top of the Toisé Veche, well, they will climb right up to cloud base because Marius managed to get 2,600 there.
It will be a bit below, I
think. They're getting
now.
2,700. It's the same.
We have some view from Grand Seolan in real. So we show you, this is really, you can see on the screen now, it's like a Colorado a bit. This is really dry and high Rocky Mountains. It's not super high. There is no permanent snow in this area. But it's 2,300, 2,500 meters, something like this. And then you have to go in the big valley just at the top of the screen behind. So it's quite a big jump. So let's go back to the 3D.
And we hope that on top of those little mountains, they're sitting small cumulus to help them away. So Marius has now been reeled in.
Yeah, but he's struggling a bit. He's still 2,500. He's not climbing so well compared to the others. So I think he's a bit below the ridge. It's not so easy to catch the best part of a thermal. We will follow them a bit.
And I think we've got Philippe Depeschi and Lima Golf in that group. And if we look down on the front group there, we can just see what their tactic will be for the turn. And we get right down. That's it. Now we can see what they're doing.
So Marius is at the bottom of the screen. He will disappear soon. He's below, and he's struggling a bit. That's why we are losing some data. And the other guys, they reach higher, just on the top of this Grand Seolan, and it was much more easy. So now they are 2,500, 2,600, 2,700. Even Sebastian Kawa is higher and wants to keep more altitude to reach the thermal and then go perhaps to the north part of this area, to the ridges we saw on the webcam a few minutes ago.
And Christophe is doing well here with them. We don't see Max. I don't know what happened to him, but Philippe's still there. And Max was in this group a few moments ago.
I think I see Lima Golf is with they are together. Philippe and Max are together from French team. And to Lima now is leaving the thermal, Christophe Abadi, and we have Uli Schwenk with Sebastian Kawa together in this thermal, leaving also and going to the next turn point of Barcelonnette.
And the difference in altitude is not so much. It's only 150, 200 meters.
So who is following behind?
That can be quite a lot, though, Benj. If they arrive at the next climb with 100 meters difference, it can be quite a lot on these slopes because it makes a lot of difference to whether you're on the lower slope, which is gentle, or whether you're much on the much higher slope where you can get tucked in and climb much easier.
Yeah, this Ubaye Valley is really special because it's one of a deep east-west valley. You can see here. This is to the east and this is to the west, and it's force the wind, because the wind is not so strong in this area, to follow parallel to the hills. So when you are low on these hills, you don't have this south wind like we all hope in this area. It's really west. So it's you have to perhaps be here on this small ridge to get a thermal and to wait a bit. So you don't want to be low.
But they're going to be much higher than this. They're going to be in just a little bit below the rock line there.
Sorry, we have a bit of a glitch with the spy, but we will be back.
Nice cumulus looking again. We will come back to him in a moment.
So Philippe Depechy and Maximilian Says made the turn, 2004 meters. And we will check, I think Sebastian Kawa will be third with Tulima, Christophe Abadi. And then Uli Schwenk will be the fifth for this turn point.
India's catching up quickly.
And Super Mario is here. Yeah.
But what's happened to Mike 7? He seems to have disappeared for the moment.
For now we have no data from Mike 7, but I think soon we will have some.
Yeah.
Bravo Kilo, Katrin Zene is also here with together with Mario Kisling.
And it's now a chase. Sebastian
Oscar Godrian will be there also.
He's going to be after Philippe and Max, but they're going to try and keep away from him. Max particularly will be really pushing on now, I think.
Sebastian is much higher, 2,600 meters, and the two leaders are 200, 300 meters below. So this is an advantage for Sebastian to perhaps also manage a bit the race in this area, where he knows that it can be tricky. It can be really tricky.
He's in a good position because he's got the height, he's sitting behind. He doesn't need to get ahead at this point. This is not the place you want to be in front. This is the place you want to be higher.
Yeah.
And so they can leave Morgon and cross the valley. Then you want to get in front at that point there. So I think he'll be he's a good tactician, Sebastian, and he will know that now is a good time just to stick together and to make sure that you stay in that position. So it's 60 kilometers to the next turning point, 67 kilometers to La Cluse. Same length as the first leg, but it should be quite a good run because they have a good altitude. The route down the north side of the Barcelonette Valley should be fairly straightforward, especially if they find a climb early. And they should be able to fly straight off the end, and then they have the next problem.
So the French made a stop to climb. Louis Boudalic and Philippe Depechy together, and joining is Sebastian Kawa, Uli Schwenk a bit higher, and just following behind is Mario Kisling, the leader overall score, with Katrin Zene also here. Okay, great view from the west part of Grand Bérard. We are just in this the slopes on the north of Valley of L'Ubaye, and the pilots want to go to. They are heading to the west now, and yes, as Brian was telling, they want to be high. Sebastian knows that you can lose a lot of time in this area if you are too low, and we saw that it was really difficult 2 days ago for Mélanie Gadoulet. I think she lost a lot of time and she was dropping completely compared to the others. So yeah, he knows that you have to be low.
What great image, what a lot of fun to be flying along here with your friends.
Yeah.
And scooting along the side of this mountain at this sort of altitude, feeling good, a day with cumulus. It doesn't get any better than this. It's especially when you know you're in the leading group. It's just such a great feeling to be flying competitively, but being in the front group like this at altitude, with just the race ahead of you, it's so exciting, but it's also so enjoyable.
Yeah, this is a great view from Sebastian Kawa, who is enjoying a lot of his slope now. And you will see in a few minutes they go to the west, and it's much more wide valley coming with the lake of Serponçon, and we will see that in few minutes in real. But yes, let's enjoy this ride on the slope.
Yeah, let's ride with Sebastian to the end of the mountain and just see if we can keep the others in view, and that way we can enjoy the experience with them. It's almost like a poetic motion, this, because you have the whole of the Alps in front of you. They can see for miles, and they're going to suddenly come around this corner, and in front of them will be Lac Serpenson, and it'll be the most beautiful view. But they're focused. They're really focused on flying along the mountainside, keeping the speed right. They're flying slowly, look, 160 kilometers an hour. They're trying to maintain their altitude and the energy that's available, looking ahead for any bits of the mountain that stick out in front of them that could be a hazard, trying to work out where the good energy is to slow down. High workload, a lot of concentration, thinking about where the other pilots are. It's one of those moments that if you've never experienced it, well, it's difficult for you to imagine what it could be like. It's a box you have to tick in life, is flying a sailplane along a mountainside like this in energy.
Okay, as we fly along, we will show you the real-time weather from with a camera from the right side of the screen and heading to the south, so exactly where we're coming from. I will show you where they are now. So they are along these hills here, but to the south, so on the other side, we can't see them. And they will go on Morgon, and then you have this big view on the lake of Serpenson, and they have to go this way to the west to next turn point, and we will see you can see a really nice cumulus here, and we will see if they take a bit of time on the Morgon to get some more altitude and energy before crossing to the west, and how they do that. But it's still really promising area.
It looks great. There's a beautiful view, beautiful. It's not like yesterday when we had a lot of overdevelopment and there was a lot of cloud, a lot of shadow and some rain in this area. This is not quite perfect, but it's pretty close. It's certainly perfect racing weather because the cloud base isn't so high that makes it too easy. There's decisions to make, difficulties to overcome, and at the same time you need to stay in front. I think it'll be very exciting to see if Super Mario can pull anything back. It's going to be very difficult now to get back in front of this pack. We're looking now, I think, at the pack of the leaders, unless anything goes really wrong when they cross the valley.
But they are all there, still together, even if Sebastian is leading. And we will see in real also the Lake of Serpenson now with real footage, just to show you how nice it is in the so the rock on the right of the screen is Morgon, and they are coming now to the Morgon in a few seconds. And this is the lake of Serpenson, which is a reservoir also for all the people living here to get some fresh water, and you can enjoy a lot also some aquatic and nautic sports in this area.
And what we're looking at now, Benj, is where they should arrive.
On the right part of the screen, yes, it's Morgon. Yeah, this is Morgon. So they come from the right of the screen now, and to the top left is to the top of the screen now is to the northeast to Briançon. They will not go there. But this is a great lake, and if you want to enjoy nautic sport and then to get some nice walking, this is best.
So how far is it from Morgon, where they can climb, to the next place you expect them to climb?
If they don't find a good climb, they will have to go to the slope, which is top left of the screen now. What we call is Chabrière. I will show you. So this is Morgon, and we expect them to climb here. But if they don't climb, they perhaps will feel that it's a good way to go towards Chabrière here, which is north, so on the right of the straight way. But if they are high enough, they will go straight. If they are high enough here, and if they feel that there are some cumulus on the road, they will go straight. And I think today...
they're already at 2,500. That looked to me like it's not far off cloud base.
Yeah.
So possibly they won't have the opportunity to climb anymore.
Yeah. This is the big question. If you feel that you can get more altitude because it's higher here or not. If you don't feel it's worth it, you go straight.
But it's quite a lot further to go straight.
Yeah. But still, if you have some cumulus, and we have what we call the Mount Electric for the Germans, we will see if it's interesting for them to have a nice cumulus there.
We should watch them on the Morgon to see if they climb or if they go straight on, and we can see them making that decision in the next few seconds.
So leading back with Sebastian.
And if you are together like this, if you're all together, then there's no point in trying to break away yet. The breakaway point isn't coming. It's on the next part.
It's a bit too soon, yes.
Yeah. If you break away now and you don't get it quite right, you could even drop out of this group. At least now you're in the money, you're in the points, but you are thinking, how am I going to get in front of the guys just in front of me? But now is not the time to do that. Maybe I could just try to get a little bit of an edge with a bit more height, but I want to get the altitude on the next one. And the best way to get the altitude, of course, is to be just a little bit behind, just 100 meters, 200 meters behind, and watch. And you can see if there's any advantage to be gained with the guys in front of you flying in sinking air or in rising air to bring yourself back up to the position where you can pounce on the end of the flight.
Each time, we have some real footage now live from the spy in the air. Is just south of Morgon, so just southeast for a few kilometers from the competitors. And you can see that, again, on the right part of the screen, it's more a big valley, and you can see much less clouds and less developed. So you are still on this area with small hills and nice mountains with nice cumulus, but if you go west, and they are going west, it will be much more drier. So that's why I think they are stopping for a while to get more altitude on Morgon if they can. But as you said, yes, in front of them is much more freedom because it's lower terrain. But we see that each time you have lower terrain, you have a bit of a mess. And some pilots, they can drop completely and lose a lot of time. So it is not the time to make the mistakes, and we want to pack together.
And there's not a great advantage in being enterprising here. So we will see, because we have how many? We have 5 or 6 gliders in this small group.
I think more.
We have another pack very close behind.
Yeah, just behind.
Who've done really well to catch up. They're only 3 or 4 kilometers behind.
Yeah, same altitude. So.
And a mistake now could be a change. There could be a change when the second pack. We've got some very good pilots in here with Thilo and Mike 7, who seems to be doing really well here. And if they just choose a slightly different route, it could be a game on again for the first places.
So this is a small hills with what the Germans call the electric mount here, and I think they are heading, so it's straight on the leg. It's a much straight route to go there, and there must be some small cumulus there. And this road to the right with Chabrière was not worth it for the pilots. So it's much more straight, and the goal will be here, the small, not so small, but the footer of Pic de Bure, which is there just before the turn point on the west part of Pic de Bure. So they will go as straight as possible because they think that they can reach the footers of Pic de Bure in an acceptable altitude and finish the task. We will see that in a few minutes.
And we expect them to climb there, but if they don't, then they will have to go on towards the Pic de Bure. They'll have to go to either they maybe take the Seurs, but I think that's too far to the south. So they have to go onto the peak, and then they're not going to be so high. It's not going to be so comfortable.
It would be interesting again to check what is making Marius Pluskokas, because again he's making a different way. Yeah, he's on the right part of the screen. And Mike 7, you can see on the right part of the screen, and he's a bit below compared to the others because he loses a bit of time on Grand Seolan before making the turn in Barcelonnette, and he's heading to Chabrière. So we will see if it was worth it and if he gained a bit of distance compared to the pack heading to Chabrière. But I'm not so optimistic. But we will see that.
Well, we don't. We see Mike 7 again. Said, "Oh well, I can see you all. I see what you guys are doing, but yeah, okay, let's go try something different." He's actually quite wise now because he's not in the points.
He dropped.
He's not in the 10.
Yeah,
in
he dropped
the top
from
10.
the back. Yeah.
And he's probably feeling, well, I can't catch up with this group because they're all going faster and better gliders. They're a little bit higher, so I should try something different. Let's see if I can make something different happen for me. And the electric mountain, as you call it, we've just got to see now if that produces the goodies and it gives them the climb that they want.
And let's see real footage for now in live from the spy in the air. just to show you, is turning on the foothills of Morgon, so just the hills we just left now, and there is the electric. This is the electric mount just west of Morgon, and you can see that he's climbing because he's turning, and around is quite blue, so only the hills have some cumuluses, and so it's blue thermal and not so high. So that's why I think they want to keep the altitude. We will see at what speed they glide to the next thermal to Pic de Bure.
That's right. When we come back to the 3D, we'll check out the speed of this group.
Super speedy.
Sebastian doesn't seem to worry too much. He's
No.
flying at a warp factor 9, Dr. Spock, and he's going to get there pretty quickly.
And Mario, India is in front again.
So it doesn't look like it worked. They didn't stop to climb there.
No.
They're going straight onto the mountain. They've taken a little bit of detour to get there, but not much. Mario looks like he ignored the detour and he's gone straight across.
We'll
and
see.
they'll meet up somewhere above the hospital around the foothills of Pic de Bure.
Yeah, I think it is Cuchon, one of the small hills, just northwest of Gap City, sorry, and we will see Gap City now in real. Yeah, we will check in few. This is Gap City, a view from Gap City from the air, and they are now reaching the hills on the left part of the screen, and going to get some altitude.
That's what they're looking at. They're flying right over the city now and coming onto the small mountains above. It looks like we might have a bit of a data issue during the next few minutes. We've had this data issue in this region almost every day, and we don't seem to be able to fix it, but if we're lucky, we'll have enough and it'll come back.
Okay, so leading back with Mario Kisling a bit below the others, but leading with 2 or 3 kilometers distance, 1,900 on the foothills of the Pic de Bure from the east, followed by the group of Sebastian Kawa, a bit higher, 2,100, 2,200 meters. We will reach now Mario in a few seconds. And then you have a second pack behind this pack, but at the same altitude, so it should be okay. And Marius plus Cocas is on the center right of the screen, coming from Chabrières. So all these guys are 2,200 meters, and we will see how it works on these foothills of Pic de Bure.
Looks like we're going to get everybody together again.
Yeah, perhaps Mario seems
to be quite a group here.
1,900 meters. He's looking for a good thermal, and Sebastian is a more comfortable altitude, 2,100 meters.
Yeah, he's a little higher.
Yeah, and I think everybody wants to be like Sebastian now, to be as high as possible to get the thermals on the foothills of Pic de Bure.
And the altitude here is critical. This is the point at which I think the race is going to be won. Because if you have the altitude here, then you are going to be able to run and get the next climb. And anybody just behind you and a bit lower doesn't have any options and can't catch you. They can only do what you do, and you can do it better because you're higher. So I would say that the race is pretty much won here, because this climb is going to take them into the last turning point. And the last turning point then is just a straight glide home.
So we go to the leading pack to check, but I think Oscar Sierra, Sebastian Kawa is now the highest. And they leave again. Yeah, they think it's worth it to leave again and go to the next footer of Pic de Bure. We will see Pic de Bure in a few seconds.
Yeah, and they will run, but they're running it at probably the minimum optimum height for this point.
So 2 packs, one on the top left, led by Sebastian Kawa, who is the highest.
And we just check the distance to the turning point as they're running in now. And then we'll see there's not much in it, but there is a little difference in the altitude. And the altitude, of course, makes a lot of difference, because when they take this turning point, it's a glide home.
So leading pack is 12 kilometers with Sebastian Kawa, and just behind, 3 kilometers behind is the pack led by 3 Victor Tiller Ligaos. And I think there is Mario Kisling in between somewhere, a bit higher. but we will see in a few seconds with better data. And now we can go with Sebastian Kawa and Thieu Lima, the French, to follow how they handle these footers of the Pic de Bure.
And we see Melanie and Thilo coming up behind, and Sylvain is there, so that there's quite a group not far behind, but it's too late for them. It's much too late for them to get into the money. Echo Juliet's now decided to lead away. That's really good. I think Louis will be very happy with that. Max will be there with him. But there's a good chance that this is going to turn into quite a close finish, because I think they still need a climb bench. If they're going to take the turn and come back, they still need a climb.
I think they are looking for the best area of Pic de Bure now. It's just a question, okay, they need to manage this, again, this difference between the vegetation area and then the rocky area. So I think in the cockpit, Sebastian Kawa is just, okay, I need to be at a good altitude to have an easy last climb and that's it. The job is done. But the guys are just behind me. It's not finished at all for now. But I can't make a mistake now. I can't make a mistake now, because then we are 6 pilots or 7 pilots altogether. So I drop completely to the points.
Yep. And there's not only the winners' points at stake here, there's the points in the first few places. It looks like Mario has dropped out of this group completely. He arrived just a little bit too low on that Pic de Bure, on the first foothills, and he didn't connect well enough. And I think they've dropped him behind just a little bit.
He's with the pack, but just at the end of the pack. So for now, he's looking for the points, and they are getting out because he can see the 6 pilots in front of him. But we will see. He knows how to make the tricks sometimes to just jump from one to the other slope. So we will see if all the talent he has can make the difference to get more points at the end of the day. So let's see, perhaps.
We're losing the data this bit, but it'll come back in a moment.
Yeah, I think when they will be to the west of Pic de Bure, it will be much more easy.
Certainly everybody's going to come home in good time. We just maybe come down and look at that just before the turning point as they come in, and we need to see if anybody's going to climb just there.
So we have a more general view just to show you that Golf Tango, Thomas Gosner and Peter Panek, IGC, are at the bottom of the screen right. And Jinta Sube Alfa Romeo is also struggling a bit. And then you have the pack with Whiskey Golf, so Werner Amann, with a bit behind also, and Fox Delta, Melanie Gadoule in between. And then we will go back to the leading pack in a few seconds.
And they can't be far to run now from the turning point. We try, once we get the data back, we'll give you the distance again.
We can see now Bravo Kilo, Catherine Zenner is going back with the data.
And it's 66 kilometers after the turn.
And India, Mario Kisling, yes, is a bit behind. You can see it's just in front of Melanie Gadoule at the bottom of the screen. And everybody is looking to get the best thermal on this turn point of La Cluse.
So south wind, 66 kilometers, 2,400 meters maybe?
You have to remember that we were at 2,500 meters, a bit south of this point 2 days ago.
Yeah, but they were very fast.
Yeah, but they made some mistake also at the end.
But it's a gamble. And there's the person who gets it right who's going to come home first. Are you going to go for a direct, or are you going to try to top up somewhere or use some energy? You certainly cannot afford to do a turn on the glide when they're together like this. It's quite exciting now as they come into this turning point, and we hope to get the data back. But I'm sure if we look down on the turning point a little more, we'll be able to pick them up. We'll be able to pick them up as they come in, even if we only have partial data. And zoom in now, please, Seb, and we'll see what's happening.
So Eco Juliet, I think, will be first. Philippe Depechy, 2,000 meters. Oscar Scherer is just following Sebastian Kawa. And Bravo Kilo, Catherine Zenner is here. Uli Schwenk is here. Lima Golf with Oscar Godrian, I can see also is here. And they are turning the turn points at around 2,050 meters, which is quite okay.
Oscar's doing brilliant flight today. Oscar's in there with them, and he's got the same height. He's playing a really canny game. In fact, he's got a few meters more, and he's probably waiting for his moment. They're going to take the turning point really tightly, look. They're going to just touch into the turning point and go.
But I can tell you that it's like a hot potato of an external, because we want to get the best of it as soon as possible.
So we'll have to be careful to make sure we've got the data correct for going to the control point, so that we can get good information for the final glide. So it's reporting point is good for Philippe, which is good. And for Sebastian, we need to move him on.
2,000 meters.
And Sebastian, we need to just move him on to the reporting point.
We will make all manually to be sure that we have some data for the final glide. Again, you can see it will be to the south, a bit top left of the screen for the next turn point, which is a control point before the finish line. But you can see that they are all heading to the right of the screen. So they want to get more energy, and it's not close to them. So they have to make this detour to the southwest, to the right of the screen, to get okay thermals. They are not so happy for now, I think. They are not so happy at all.
They need a climb. They need a little bit more energy.
And you can see that there is also a group on the left of the screen which stop on the footer of Pic de Bure to get some altitude before crossing to a turn point. So we will see who was wise to get more altitude perhaps, or if it was a good idea to keep going like this at 2,000 meters, which was not so high in this area.
So Sebastian, maybe we just check the distances and see if we've got good information on the top screen, and we can see how far to go. And then we can make sure we get that right for you for the final. They look like they're heading home.
There are 65 kilometers to the next turn point.
Yeah.
And 2,000 meters. But again, the sky it's blue with small.
It's got some energy in it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to take the risk. Nobody's going to detour. Look, they're heading much more to the right, much more to the west. So we can imagine that there's a few cumulus, and the direction may be more towards Ceres.
Yeah, we have a webcam on Serre Labati. We will see how it looks like in the sky. Yeah, it's coming now. Yes. So this is towards the south of Serre Labati, and so it's 20 kilometers south of their current position. And this seems to be okay, but I'm not sure it's so nice to the north. That's why we are struggling a bit for now. But yes, so a bit of a hard time, but for a few minutes and then it will be okay. Let's go back to 3D. We have Philippe de Péchy and yes, all the pack is together.
And they're going well off to the right now. They're heading well off to the west, where we can see that nice cumulus. There's going to be a climb there along those hills there somewhere, which is going to give them a good altitude for a much more secure final glide.
So the webcam was here and was looking to the south here. So we saw that it was really nice in this area with some nice cumulus. And you can see that they followed the small hills here to get more chance perhaps to have some thermals, and then to reach perhaps this area and then follow the hills to the turn points.
And here comes the climb.
And so perhaps we will climb enough here to go direct here in a much more straight route. So we will see in a few minutes.
We have Sebastian climbing at 2 to 3 meters, and Philippe, I think that there's a good chance that they get the altitude here. If they take the maximum here, they should be able to run on home from there. And they have a good route home now. They're more to the west, they can run more over the hills.
Yeah.
And that will give them better chance to pick up the energy on the way back. We have to check where we really close up on this group, please, Seb, so we can see exactly who's in it. Oh, here's Mario coming in, but he's not so high. Oh, he's still okay. He's 2,400. He's not doing too bad.
Yeah, it took a bit of time on Pic de Bure to climb, I think. So he will be not so far away from the pack at the end. And 3 Victor is really low, 1,600 meters. Thilo escaping and following the hills and hoping for a good thermal.
Just a small miracle. Thilo doesn't have a sort of the same concept of other people as being together. He thinks being together is something that works in distance, but he's not too worried about the altitude difference.
So leading pack with French, Louis Boudarlic, Philippe de Péchy, Christophe Abadi. I think Max Seis is also here. And obviously Sebastian Kawa is leading with Catherine Zenne not so far away, and from South Africa Oscar Goodrian here, and Uli Schwenk with 25 also. So all together 3 Victor is lower, bottom left of the screen, much lower in a different race for now, and I think India is not far away.
Yeah, they didn't climb so much there.
No.
They didn't climb so much, so they probably need just a little bit more. We can, when Seb's ready, we can check the distance again. We can see the altitude of Louis on the bottom there. He's 1900.
Check
Louis
the altitude
2000.
Check the altitude of Mario on the left of the screen. 2,300 meters. He will be above them.
Yeah,
He will be above them.
he's done whatever he did brilliantly. He must have taken that climb off the peak a little bit more.
And I hope he did not make the mistake to miss the point. But
Well, that's hard.
because yesterday we made this.
It's very unlikely.
Yeah.
These guys don't normally make such a mistake. We just close in a little bit, and now we have game on. They're coming in from the side, and we can see that they're going to meet up on this glide. But I suspect Sebastian being out in front, very experienced, he's going to know how to stay out in front. He's going to manage his energy. He's going to manage his ride. They've got 50 kilometers to go. There's almost nothing in it. Mario's got 51 kilometers to go. If we can put Mario on the bottom right, and then we can just check the altitude difference.
You can see the goal arrival height, so the total energy of the pilots, and Mario is leading based on this information.
Mario's looking good. Certainly the others seem to need a little bit more height, but if they're flying more slowly, Sebastian's not slowing down. If we can put Mario here, we can make a comparison on speed.
You have Mario on the bottom left of the screen with information, and Sebastian Kawa. And Mario is catching up.
How did he do that? How did he do that?
This will be a question for Claire again.
Yeah, we need to know, because we missed that. He was, 1 minute he looked like he just dropped behind, and now he's back in the game.
How do you feel in the cockpit? Like you are dropping to the back of the back, and now you are catching up higher.
Yeah, there's got to be a lot of happiness in Mario's cockpit right now.
But
it's not over, because Mario is just okay. He's just okay.
So the numbers on the top right of the screen, you can see is exactly the numbers. If they are on 0, they can reach the final line, and Mario is just on this energy. And Sebastian is missing a bit.
But if Sebastian's leading the pack, if he flies through some really good lift just for a few hundred meters,
they will be together.
And Mario misses that, they're together. There's almost no difference between them. And that's going to be quite interesting, because Mario has to decide when to start pushing forward.
And 1.6 kilometers difference. So Sebastian is 1.6 kilometers further to the line. But again, Mario is already with enough energy to come back home. And now Sebastian seems to be also with enough energy.
Yeah, but Sebastian's had to slow down. He's slowed down because he's flown through some good air.
And Mario is flying super
Yeah, but he also
fast.
needs to slow down because he's just a little bit marginal. Mario's flying through the same energy, but he hasn't slowed down so much because he knows he's already got it. And he's using the energy not to gain altitude, but to gain distance, to close up. We're looking at a really close finish here. It's going to be marginal one way or the other. It's difficult to say at the moment which of these guys are going to get home first. It's
but Mario
close.
is higher, and he can manage a bit this extra energy. So now he's a comfort zone, comfort.
Yeah, but we're flying sailplanes in the mountains. Anything can happen yet. Yeah, anything can happen. Or you only need 10, 15 seconds of sinking air, and the other guy gets a bit of rising air, and the game's changed completely.
So we are reaching Crête de Sel and Aujour just before the wide valley of Sistron you can see now in the middle of the screen. Mm-hmm. And the next turn point is top right, a bit before the final line. And we are with the leading pack, led by Sebastian Kawa from Poland, and followed by Catherine Zehner from Germany. Lima Bravo is Maximilian Cesse from France, 2 Lima Abadi from France, Echo Juliet Philippe Depechy from France. And they are followed by 25 Uli Schwenk from Germany, and Lima Golf Oscar Godrian from South Africa. And India is in this pack and a bit higher with more speed also.
And he's got the hammer down. Yeah, he's really going. Is it a chance we put the distance on Oscar Sierra in India and see if he can close up? And we can put the distance marker between the two. They're almost the same height now. They're almost exactly. There's only 400 meters in it. And we should just zoom in on that a little bit. Wow, Mario's actually closing the gap right up, the speed.
He's eating up.
He's going to intimidate. Yeah. He's going to say, okay, Sebastian, I've got you.
Can you imagine in the cockpit, you can hear the alarm, because you have this alarm. Somebody's coming very fast behind you. And then, now, he's closing up, and now
Sebastian
he's in
was
front of
flying
you.
Slowly, I think, because he thought he was going to stay in front. but Mario's pushed him. He's just giving him a good push. And Sebastian speeded up. Sebastian said, whoa, hang on a minute. You may have just a little bit of an edge, but I'm going to make a fight of this.
And now we will check the difference of altitude, because this is the extra energy each pilot will have. Yeah, 60 meters. This will be really difficult for Sebastian Kawa to manage to be able to stay first, because now India is just in front of him and higher. This is really difficult.
Yeah, and somehow Mike Seven's appearing on our top of our screen, but I wonder where he is. He's well back, I think.
Yeah,
so
he was really high.
He must be very high.
Yeah, he was really high.
He must be very high.
Yeah.
So in distance terms, we can just put the scale on the right on distance. We know they've got the energy now. The question is how far to run and how high are they? Mario's not only pulled ahead, but he's also managed to maintain his advantage of altitude.
Of energy, yeah, compared to Sebastian.
If we put the distance marker on again and just see what there is between them and zoom in a little bit on that, there's quite a battle going on here between these two. There's only 100 meters in it.
But it's enough.
We only need 100 meters and just a tiny, tiny bit more altitude for Mario.
Yeah.
Speed, Sebastian 218, Mario 218.
Now Sebastian tries to keep the pace. He has to think about, okay, perhaps he will make a mistake, or perhaps my glider is a bit better in the glide, so I need to keep the pace and the most I can.
Yeah, and we can just come very close. Maybe we come close behind just before the control point. 30 kilometers to go. It's still a long way to go. It's still not over. There's plenty of room yet for an error, but it's getting less and less chance for Mario to be jumped on by Sebastian.
So top right of the screen, you have a pass of Sisteron City, and this is where they are heading on. And then there is a turn point, report point before the finish line. And this is the last glide all together with Mario Kisling and Sebastian Kawa, all together with such a tiny difference. Mm-hmm. And this was a recover from Mario. It's just crazy.
Incredible recovery. Let's just check on third, fourth and fifth, see what's happening just behind. They could have quite a battle going on there. And we're going to zoom out, folks, and just see what's going on. Here we go.
So third is
Bravo Kilo. Catherine's in the game. Catherine's got some skin in this game.
She's the French team has a race also. Tango Lima, so Louis Boudalic, followed by Christophe Abadi 2 Lima, and then Maximilian Seyss, Lima Bravo, and then Eco Juliet, Philippe de Péchy. So this place will be also really
all
difficult.
The points are here.
All
the points are here to Lima Golf. Is there anybody just behind Lima Golf, Sebastian?
I think Lima Golf will be 8 for now. Yes, and then there is a gap.
Yeah. And so this is all the points are here.
So don't bother with Tango Lima.
Tango Lima is doing some aerobatic maneuver in happiness to be there.
So a distance between Oscar Sierra and India, if we can have information, I think it's even a bit higher now, 200 meters, and still this advantage of altitude of India in front of Sebastian Kawa. So this is really interesting.
I'm looking forward to see what Sebastian says about the final glide and his glider.
Perhaps we can see...
It's the first time we've seen a really long final glide battle between two gliders. And between the new AS33 and the Ventus 3. There's a little bit of lateral separation, which is interesting, so there could still be the opportunity for an advantage here.
He has to try something, Sebastian. He can't keep going just behind the guy, because he will have exactly the same air mass. So no advantage. He needs to find something.
Height's the same now. Height's almost the same.
60 meters difference.
And the distance is more or less the same. There's very little change in it.
And we can spot also the followers. There is a battle behind with Catherine Zene, Bravo Kilo, Tango Lima, Louis Boudalic and 2 Lima, Christophe Abadi, Lima Bravo, Maximilian Seyss a bit behind and a bit lower, so it will be difficult. And Eco Juliet is just waiting for...
They're having to fly slower. They're having to fly slower because they're that little bit lower.
It's interesting because they can't keep the pace of the 2 leaders.
No, well, I think it's the 100 meters that they had to start with.
And
makes a big difference, yeah?
Now they pay it. It has a cost at one time.
Yeah, and they're able to just slowly up the pace. Well, what you're watching here, folks, is some of the world's best pilots. Some of the world's best pilots having the most amazing, exciting time on their final glide and giving us the greatest entertainment in this sport. We see Mario Kieslinger and Sebastian Kawa, 2 great pilots, battling it out to try to get over that line first. Only 100 meters in it, in distance, and maybe 50, 60 meters in altitude. We could put the distance measure on again. We're going to look at the final glide view? Or?
Yeah, just to show you the pass of Sisteron, and now you can get it with some very nice... Yeah, this is the pass we will go through. They come from the top of the screen and they will go to the south. And this is the city of Sisteron, which is also a great city to visit if you come here. And some great, also some small slopes going to the east, which is called La Baume on the right of the screen. And this is really impressive. And I think if you follow the e-sport yesterday evening, you saw that you can be really low to catch the airfield of Saint-Auban. But let's go back to the 3D.
And 58 meters, that's not much. But there's definitely an advantage in altitude now.
100 meters now. So Mario is managing, I think, his advantage now.
He's allowing Sebastian to close up, knowing that he can accelerate after the control point, which is a very good tactic, because if they do have some really sinking air as they come through the gap, then Mario has the margin. He's able to maintain, whereas Sebastian is going to have to slow down a little bit. But that margin is going to make all the difference in the next part.
And they still have to make this report point, and they go a bit to the right because we want to, I think, use the small advantage to have some energy on what we call Crête de l'Âne, which is the small slope, really green, going to the right of the screen. And then they go to the footer of Lure mountain, which is the next one. But I think they just want to get a bit more energy before going straight to a report point. And it will be interesting to check what is going on with followers. Yeah, and now you have
Tulima's got more altitude, and that's Christophe. He's got a good altitude. He's not got enough, I don't think, to pass Sebastian. But you see, probably he and Catherine are going to be very close. Maybe we should just check the distance between Bravo Kilo and Tulima. They've closed up quite a lot at this point. Lima Golf's struggling a little bit because he's just not got the altitude to accelerate.
So 500 meters between Catherine Zenne and Christophe Abadi. It will be difficult for Catherine, perhaps. It will be difficult because he has almost 100 meters more, Christophe, and he can push. He can push. So it will be really interesting at the end of the rush.
Yeah. I looks like Christophe should just be able to catch Catherine. But a lot depends on the air mass. The speed they're flying, he's got a speed advantage and an altitude advantage. And he's got half a kilometer to make up.
But you need to be just in front of the other, just after the finish line, or just before. So he can manage this advantage now. So let's go back perhaps to the leaders, with India and Oscar Sierra all together.
And
400 meters now.
We can see Oscar Sierra has really lost a little bit on altitude. There's India, Mario has maintained his altitude advantage, and he started to open it out again. It went down to 40 meters. He's now pushed it up to half a kilometer ahead.
And Sebastian can't fly so fast now. He has to drop the speed. 200
and he's wise to slow down a little bit because he can see he can't get first place, so he'll have to settle for second place. And he's settled for second place rather than make a mistake. Does he know how close behind Catherine is? Although we don't really think Catherine's got any chance of catching him.
No, it will be difficult. Yeah. But she's flying super fast, so it's could be. And we will see if she can save the third position or if Christophe Abadi can overtake her at the last seconds.
And so that last part of the flight where they go in the control point is critical because they can't fly direct to the airfield now. They have to move a little bit off to the left to fly the control point. And then they will be able to come into the direction of the landing.
So first, India and Mario Kisling heading to the control point, followed by Sebastian Kawa from Poland. And third is Catherine Zenne for now. Fourth is Tulima, Christophe Abadi from France. And now we have the live of the finish line for Mario Kisling. You will see in a few seconds. He's just turning the control points because we have a bit of 30 seconds difference with the data, but we will show you.
Let's wait until we get a good view. Okay, we can get him now if you like, Sebastian. We can go there.
This is Sebastian Kawa, I think. Mario is already on the right part of the screen, but it's not. Yeah, this is Sebastian Kawa. I think we will follow for
The higher one is Mario.
Yeah, Mario's higher. And third one is Catherine Zenner, perhaps. And I think Christophe Abadi will appear in a few seconds from the left part of the screen.
And they must stay above the 50 meters all the way to the finish line.
Oh, yeah. Another super great race from Mario.
And Sebastian's really on the margin for the altitude, for the finish line.
He has to be careful to not get any penalties.
He can
because
get a
then
penalty if he gets too low there. 50 meters is the minimum, and he must maintain that all the way from the control point. He's probably just okay. Catherine's taken the same tactic, push the speed up, go for a direct landing.
I think he felt the heat from Catherine coming from the back.
Well, he would do, because she's not far, is she? She's not far. What a wonderful thing for Catherine.
And Catherine is full throttle.
Yeah, and Christophe looks like he's a little bit low there. He looks like he's just on the edge of the 50 meters.
But he will manage because he knows who is behind.
So, Mr. Scorer, there might be some work for you tonight to look for these altitude infringements.
I will do my best.
Yeah, well, it's work for everybody here.
Okay, so
that's fantastic.
Staff on the ground is preparing for Claire to make some question, and she has to ask, but from where was coming back Mr. Kisling? From where was coming back Mr. Kisling?
Yeah. Bravo Kilo, and then we had Christophe Abade.
To Lima.
And
Maybe
then we
fourth.
have, who's coming in next?
I think Echo Juliet is coming next.
Yeah. Echo Juliet. And can we just move over a little bit the screen here so we can just see who's coming in next?
And 25, Uli Schwenk, I think.
To Lima.
So Mario is landing now.
Echo Juliet, Philippe Depechy.
If there is
Echo
no
Juliet,
penalties, Mario Kisling will be the winner of the day. I think there will be some big applause on the ground with all the German team there. So Mario Kisling.
Fantastic, Mario. Great flight. These supporters are so happy. And
Matthias Schunk is really happy.
What a great battle. What a great battle. Everybody's coming home nicely.
Yeah.
Lima Golf will be maybe the last one in the money. Now we'll wait now for Claire audio.
Yeah, Claire, I think she's just there.
I leave you go out of Jean Glider. What a race!
Yes.
Okay, first I need to ask, how did you manage to catch up at Pic de Bure?
Yeah, I stayed in my thermal because I felt it had a lot of energy and all the other gliders passed, and then it was 3, 4, 5, 5.5, and then that gave me the opportunity to fly close to Pic de Bure, and I had again 5.5 meters up to the cloud base and then could push. It was great.
You did two times try to escape the gaggle and they catch you up. How was the feeling?
Yeah, this morning I tried to figure out the route also in the breezes to Coupe, and it worked well, but I did not get directly the 4 meters, but you saw, I mean, it was pretty much the same. Yeah, and then it was really great. I did not feel uncomfortable because I knew the breezes was working well. Yeah.
So it was really interesting that you tried twice to escape, and finally when you kept the thermal that you managed to catch up and go fast.
Yeah, I mean, a bit of luck is always in the game. But yeah, as I said, I could feel that this was a very strong lift, and I felt, okay, it might be good to be high at Pic de Bure, and it paid out.
Congratulations. It was, again, a really, really good race to follow.
Thank you very much. Okay.
What a race.
Yeah, fantastic.
What a race.
It's Sailplane Grand Prix racing is just the best. It's just fantastic.
It's you know, Mario, he doesn't smile this way so much normally, and it seems it was a great pleasure.
Look, you can see the excitement in his face.
Yeah.
He's just finished a fantastic flight. He's just done a terrific final glide, and he gets out, and you can see the happiness in his face.
Yeah.
The relief, the tension comes out, and he's thinking, you know, you just give me a chance here. Let me calm down a bit.
No, it was really impressive.
It was great, and it's such good flying from everybody. We can see now everybody's coming home. Everybody's coming home in good time. Oscar's in the points. He'll be really happy. Really good flight from some of these guys who don't know the area so well. I think Christophe and Philippe would have liked to have done that a little bit extra.
And Marius made also some good points, even if it's not working, but he made some really wise decision.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been a great race, folks. It's been a fantastic race. We've enjoyed ourselves. We hope you've enjoyed yourself as much as we have. We're looking forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, sure.
If these guys can keep entertaining us like that, we're really getting our money's worth.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Thank you. It was really nice. Yeah. Really, really nice.
And thanks, Sebastian, for your great control, and thank you for all your technical expertise, Angel.
We just need more data on west of Pic de Pure, please.
Yeah, please. So from us, it's good night, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We'll post the highlights of today's race at 7 o'clock this evening.
Around, yeah.
And we'll be ready again 13:30 tomorrow for another great race in Sailplane Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah, bye-bye. Ciao.